Time is running thin in this season of BSRTC, forcing drivers' hands as we close in on Bathurst. It's a growing gap up front with a closing window of opportunity for Adam Shepard to break through as the comeback kid of early 2022. Hello and welcome to Pit Stop TV and the BSRTC Winter Series. It's round 7 of 9 at Silverstone. I'm Andrew Cardinale IV with Zach Lindgren. And Zach, let's get right to it. Tom McMahon, Adam Shepard, there are ones to watch, if you will. They are leading the way in this series, but others, they're starting to amass wins of their own. We've got a growing list of winners, and they are growing their list of wins so far this season, coming in around 7.
And I mean, each driver is absolutely capable of winning each and every one of these races, especially after the first race, after the field inverts. Every single one of these drivers has their own possibility to pop off wins, so it's... As the races goes on, new winners start to emerge.
We've seen several drivers grab their first wins of the season, be it in Trophy Tuesdays with the MX-5s or even on Thursdays here with BSRTC. As this season goes on, either drivers are getting their first wins of the season finally, or in the case of Jason Cooper on Tuesdays, getting up to 9 wins total, and that's more races won than we have races left in that series. But anyways, about Thursdays here. You can see it is nice and cloudy. It is classic British weather at Silverstone today. It is about what we expect. 67 degrees in the air, 72 on the track. That's right around 20 degrees Celsius, give or take a degree both in the air and on the track, but it's very calm weather. It's nothing too crazy, overcast skies. That does mean these guys are going to be a little bit challenged to build tire temps in this qualifying session, which we are now in. Let's go ahead and look at our standings today. We talked about them a little bit already, Zach. 127 points between Tom McMahon and Adam Shepard. The other stat line to watch between those two, an extra win going the way of McMahon in the 66 compared to Shepard in that 17 car. Luke Kidsley, Rob Baker, they get new wins as well. They're up to 3rd and 4th in the standings. And look at your Pro-Am points leader, Nathan Davies, who is still riding off of that high of his win from Daytona. If you look over to the right side of your standings, you see 4 amateur drivers: Craig Schill, Roger Morton, Ollie Ricks, and Fiona Siddons. It is a very diverse top 20.
It is a very diverse top 20, especially to have Pro-Ams and amateurs is kind of stuck in there, especially even in the top 5. You said with Davies breaking out his win from Daytona, breaking into the top 5 alone, being the points leader for the Pro-Am. I mean, it is a very diverse, and it's a very welcome diverse standing grid.
It is always good to see, I think, a mix of drivers in multiple different ways. Obviously, to have that kind of parity, have that variety is always nice in a series like this, especially. We'll go ahead and get right down to the track. It is a Popeye's biscuit away from an oval, as Emerson would say. It is basically a triangle. I guess you could say a Popeye's biscuit away from a triangle. That might be a little more accurate. It kind of looks like, for us oval guys, for us Americans, it looks like Pocono a little bit if you just had some squiggly bits. Of course, Cops is not a perfect 90-degree corner, but it is still very, very close. It's very challenging, and it's going to be a bit more of a corner today in the touring cars than we had on Tuesday with the MX-5s. Probably a good bit of braking and then pitch the car in and just ride out and try and put the power down with the front wheels, obviously, since these are front wheel drive cars. You head down to Maggots. It's a very interesting braking zone, Zach. We talked about it before this show. It's kind of nailing the curb on entry on the left side for that bend of turn 2 and then getting right down to the curbing on the inside of turn 3. It's not your conventional kind of arc out in. It's kind of weird. It's very abnormal, almost like a karting corner. Think to GoPro, if you were to run the main course backwards, it's almost like that if you were to head into what is usually turn 1, where you have that little kink before the corner. I guess if you were to run it backwards anyway. So it's very backwards. It's not a normal corner in these. Usually you go from maggots into Beckett's, and it's a couple of sweepers put together, but here with the national circuit, it's maggots into a tightening and then almost widening Aintree, which is turn 3. That sets you onto the backstretch for Brooklands. That's kind of a 3-wide passing opportunity, but it's also a big braking zone, and it's a switchback for Luffield, where the inside lane in Brooklands is good. That's all fine, but you gotta get the pass done, or you're gonna be on the outside for Luffield, and that wraps up your lap. We've seen Luffield be the decider of a lot of battles here so far, even just on Tuesday. And that's where these last laps are going to come down to. Brooklands and Luffield. It's going to come down the final corners, as opposed to some circuits where the final corners aren't really passing opportunities. This is a good one.
And like we were talking about earlier, Brooklands into Luffield, very, very deep braking zone. Brooklands is, at least. A lot of speed being carried on through Aintree, a lot of speed from that straightaway, maybe even some draft happening. So, I mean, a deep braking zone into a tight switchback like that, that's going to be a deciding factor for a lot of positions, possibly even a win or two here tonight.
4 minutes left in qualifying. Adam Shepard leading the way. Here's a look at Rob Baker currently, as Shepard actually works his way onto the circuit. This is into Aintree, it looks like. Is that? Yes, it is. That works through Aintree. Shane Piggott has been very impressive so far this afternoon, as well as Wayne Douglas, who is on the racetrack there. Shane is not on the track just yet, but Piggott does now have a race win, an overall race win from last week at Snetterton, won the opening race of the day. Wayne Douglas could join that list of growing Pro-Ams that have won an overall race in this series. Went fastest right at the end of practice and is now 4th in qualifying. That's 2nd, of course, in class. Tom McMahon, Chris Knox there in the top 10 as well. Roger Morton is even breaking through as an amateur driver in this top 10. It's very impressive to see these kinds of drivers moving up, but it is also a much lighter field than we've had. Only 20 cars so far, Zach. We started the season with fields of 30 to 40. That's a big difference.
That is a big difference, and it might be a saving factor for when the fields do get inverted as the night goes on.
Oh,
It might be a big thing. But I mean, for right now, sure, it's a little bit low on racers, excuse me, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be any short of action.
And of course, you guys are used to hearing not just an American, but a Brazilian on these broadcasts for the BSRTC. We have 2 Americans today, so you guys can finally make fun of us in that way. It is an American broadcast of a British series, instead of being a little bit international there with JB. He could not be here today, and thankfully, the wonderful Zach Lindgren, who just collected $200 a week ago, something like that, yeah,
like that,
yeah. On the channel. You were.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, this guy, he's moneybags these days, winning races on Pit Stop TV. Now he gets to call some races on Pit Stop TV again, as we bring you coverage of BSRTC round number 7. We talked about the schedule all season long, and Zach, this is your first opportunity to talk about this series and this schedule, but this is a look at it. We're already into round 7, Silverstone National. Next week is Brands Hatch on the full course, the Grand Prix course, and then it's Bathurst to round things up. And I'm going to be honest, I'm preparing for Bathurst this week in the 12-hour on iRacing, and I've driven other cars there for fun, be it LMP1s, LMP2s, whatever car, right? But I've never thought about taking a touring car to Bathurst. I've never thought about doing that. The front-wheel drive, that would make me go a bit mental, I think.
And that's such a tight track, too, to have these kind of cars out there driving around. I mean, Mount Panorama is a challenge in and of itself just to get around. Just one person being to get around. Now you throw in a bunch of drivers on front-wheel cars like that. It's going to be a good race, especially with the mountain the way that it is, coming into it, coming off of it. It's such a track to behold, and having a bunch of front-wheel drive cars on it, it's going to be its own interesting race.
Interesting for sure, and the good thing is we've got 4 races for that, of course. It's just like
yes.
Every week, it's 4 races. It's 4 opportunities then for these drivers to learn a little bit and put whatever they learn to use. As we look at qualifying once again, Adam Shepard still leading the way as time starts to run out. He is just behind Rob Baker. So your top 2 in qualifying, your 3 of your top 4 in qualifying are all around each other. Shane Piggott is the one outlier as he think he's working through Aintree now. Yes, he is. I do like that this track is, no, that's out of Luffield, actually. Yeah, that's out of Luffield. That is now onto the front stretch. I was just about to say, I like that you can tell where you are in this racetrack decently, because there's only a few corners, and then I go and get one wrong. But for the most part, it is, I think, a rather identifiable circuit, especially when you go to these cameras that are a little bit wider. You can see more. Yeah, you know that's headed down to maggots. One of the drivers towards the bottom of the order so far today, Sir Alan Toon. He is 16th in qualifying, but the good news is he's getting laps compared to guys that like Ollie Ricks, Lee Holmes, Mark Johnson, Ralph Cullen, and they don't have a lap yet in qualifying. He's out here getting these qualifying laps, and you know, yes, it's qualifying. You want to go for the pole, but these laps also double as a bit of practice.
And you're absolutely right. And if anything, it's a little bit of seat time for him, isn't it? It's just a little bit of time to get himself maybe mentally prepared, get himself acclimated to the track, what the car does. It's around certain parts of the track. So right now, I think it's just a good time to get around the track, learn what the draft does. You're around other cars right now, so learn what the car does around different kind of corners with different kinds of airs hitting your nose. So I think it's extremely beneficial.
We're also getting looks at drivers like Fiona Siddons, you saw a moment ago, Jamie Goodall out here in the 575. James Clark is also here in the number 6 car. We don't see him in touring cars all that often, but we're glad to see him today. Roger Morton has dropped out of the top 10 because Craig Schill has moved up into the 10th spot, and Goodall actually just got ahead of James Neve in the qualifying order. Carl Hardy, one of the few drivers left out there, and it looks like he's joining everybody coming into the pit lane. So that is just about it. I think Clark was the last driver actually turning a lap here, so we'll see what he can do as, let's see, he is out of Aintree. He's not quite going to finish up his lap, so I think that's going to about do it. So 20 cars, we've got 15 minutes a race. That should be just about 15, maybe 16 laps. Yeah, these guys are turning 59s, high 59s, so this will just about be 16 laps of racing per race. Honestly, we could only get 15 depending on how the pace goes. We saw that at Snetterton last week where, you know, some races would go a little bit longer, especially when Jason Cooper got out front in the Miatas. He tends to take off. But we do have our first grid of the day to go ahead and look through, and on pole, it is Adam Shepard. That's not that big of a surprise. 17 car has been fast all season. He's got 3 wins to boot. That's really not surprising. Rob Baker also not surprising with his second starting position. Starting third today, Wayne Douglas is a little bit surprising. On podium here to start the race, Wayne Douglas in the 501, one of our Pro-Am drivers, looking pretty good. Shane Piggott will roll off from the 4th position. Starting 5th, you'll find the 66 of Tom McMahon with 4 wins in the season, then Chris Knox in that 6th spot. Starting 7th, it's Sam Smith. 8th is Carl Hardy, and the back row of the top 10, Zach, the back row of the top half, you find Michael Seal and Craig Schill.
Continuing on with the gridding process, Roger Morton will be starting P11. Outside him, James Clark will be starting 12th. Jamie Goodall would be starting 13th. Right next would be James Neve in the 14th position. Fiona Siddons will be starting 15th. Starting 16th, Alan Toon, Sir Alan Toon, if I will.
And we're actually about to send these guys rolling. Just a few more cars towards the end. We'll let those scroll across the bottom, but green flag is out in race 1 at Silverstone. Cops, nice and orderly so far. You see some 2 and 3 wide further back, but the front of the grid getting through cleanly to maggots now as Adam Shepard still leads. A few cars a little bit wide, a little bit of contact further back in the grid, but it looks like with a little bit of beating and banging, Fiona Siddons rather making some contact there with Ollie Ricks. They get through the opening corners nice and cleanly.
And with that big group, that's punching a huge hole in the air, possibly for draft coming up onto arguably the hardest braking zone on the track right now. Coming into Brooklands like that. Coming around Luffield, looks like everyone, the front about 7, about front 6 right now. Kind of evened out, everyone else trying to get straight lined out as well. Some still side-by-side action, but these guys already taking off. Lap 1 already pretty much in the books.
Lap 1 goes the way of Adam Shepard. Rob Baker second. Some 3 wide there, it looked like, with, boy, was that James Neave potentially in that battle. He's just behind it, actually. That was Carl Hardy, Craig Schill, Mark Johnston was the car that I thought I recognized, the 56 car, of course, with those Puma colors. I don't see Nathan Davies today, which is a bit interesting. We would have expected to see his Puma colors out here today, but regardless, I'm sure he'll be back next week. Craig Schill getting ahead of James Clark and James Neave back here. Schill has lost that amateur lead as up front we've got a battle for about 3rd spot. It's side by side for 3rd. Your lead in Pro-Am, and Wayne Douglas goes drifting wide. I'm not sure how he managed that. He could have pulled the e-brake. We've seen that before.
And it was a good save by him too. I mean, he didn't really lose a lot of position as we got a battle just behind him, but hell of a save right there by his name escapes me. I apologize.
I think by the end of the day, you'll get some of these guys' names down. That was Wayne Douglas in the 501. It's definitely, always a challenge getting used to a new series, especially on the fly like this. We're watching Jamie Goodall go after Michael Steele and Sam Smith. This is really 3rd, 4th, 5th in Pro-Am. Not really. I mean, it is 3rd, 4th, and 5th in Pro-Am, but it's within your top 10. And oh, Goodall, very close there in the Hyundai. Now, we see Michael Steele still on Audi. He's in new colors this week in the BSRTC green, but we haven't seen any other Audis. At least not today. We've seen 1 or 2 here and there. The Audi is not a very popular car anymore. Obviously, there's that new shine to the Hyundai Elantra that is out here. And, of course, even the Honda Civic is nice and new, and a lot of drivers go for it. But even it is not all that popular. It just seems like the Hyundai is in a class of its own as we stay on board here with Goodall. Let's fall back in the race here a little bit as some other drivers get mixing up. Ollie Ricks and Fiona Siddons, they seem to always be magnets and find each other. And isn't that the way it goes, Zach? Even when you have a smaller grid, there are just certain drivers that always find each other in these races.
They always seem to be on top of each other, really, and you can't really get away from them. A little bit of contact.
That wasn't a little bit. That was a lot of it.
A lot of it going into turn 1. They're going into cops.
Into maggots. Oh, more contact. James Clark, and that is Neave going well and around, and Clark is hard on the wall. That is a big contact, and they hit some more a little bit. Fiona Siddons also has a problem joining them. Fiona was into that corner with Ollie Ricks, and yeah, that's
what happened there.
That is not quite how you want to do any of that. That's not how that should go at all for any of those guys. We'll get a look back, and we'll start with that contact again between Ollie Ricks and Fiona Siddons. This is in the cops. Fiona Siddons on the outside, I think, just kind of a bit of a Pruitt fade over into Ollie a little bit. And then we had this issue with James Clark into maggots. He just kind of goes straight into James Neave, and Clark is going to take a big header there. And Fiona comes in a little bit after the fact, and I think she might have gotten crossed over Ollie's nose a little bit.
It might have been even the same kind of ordeal right there. Kind of faded over maybe just a little bit too much and turned around.
Let's watch this all in full once more. So this is down the front stretch into cops. Let's see if we can actually get Ollie's on board. I think this will tell us a lot. So there's where the contact happens. So a little bit late there, but then Ollie is behind, out of cops and towards maggots. So how does this go? Does Fiona maybe check up a little bit and get crossed up? Oh, an early break, and she was already sideways, and Ollie kind of just came in and finished the job.
Yeah, Ollie really didn't do anything out of the blue or even different there. He just a little bit of early braking from the car in front.
Oh boy, we've got this is 3.
Wow. 3 wide through left field down the front stretch, crossing the line, still kind of close.
And there's contact. Shane Piggott sideways, a good catch. Of course, you can power out.
Yeah.
Here we go. Adam Shepard's going to have Rob Baker up the right side. This is good stuff up front for our race lead. Chris Knox thought about going 3 into maggots. Better to back out. That was smart there. Shepard and Baker still side by side. Piggott rejoins this battle now, gets back rolling. But that was a hectic moment. Certainly as there's even more contact here. Shepard trying to come over and get to Baker a little bit. And you wonder sometimes if those little bits of contact are to mess with the guy you're racing as Baker gets back over to the right side of the course to get an arc into Brooklyn's contact there. That's going to open the door for Chris Knox. Shepard takes the lead outright.
And it's always a bit of a mental game, too, especially at a road course. If you're this close to one another or you're trying to find the advantage over somebody, you always got to play those mental games at least just a little bit. Try to get into your opponent's head try to use that to your advantage. And right now they're using the bodies of their cars to try to get into their opponents' heads for the time being.
On board with Chris Knox, that's through Cops. Just under 9 minutes to go in race 1. A lot's already happened, but we have not burned too much race time just yet. A lot of racing left. Through Maggots there, Knox gets along the left side. And Baker's teammate, Tom McMahon, gets very close there through Aintree to the back end of the Lego 23. And here soon, those bricks are going to get bent.
And what we're seeing right now is a bunch of, like, tight racing getting into Maggots. As you see right now, Knox trying to make a move, gets blocked by Baker into the tight corner of Brooklands. They straighten out, they stay straightened out, but these guys are right on top of each other. This top 5 right now is just so close as far as the racing goes. Any kind of slip up from anyone in front could lead to a couple positions being lost very, very quickly.
One more lap complete. We are expecting about 15 in these races today as McMahon has a look up the inside of Knox and smartly backs out and lets Knox do his own thing. Now he'll draw back alongside and bring Wayne Douglas along with. Douglas is your Pro-Am leader currently.
Very tight getting into Maggots right there. Everyone pretty much leaning on
Douglas!
top of each other. Douglas tries to shove it to the inside. Makes contact. They keep it straight, but that separates the top 2. Douglas now looking to the inside of McMahon.
And that'll be the outside for Brooklands. It's the inside out of Aintree, so it's, you know, it feels like you want to go there as McMahon squeezes him just a little bit, gets back over, and, oh, Shepard and Baker are starting to go back at it side by side. You can see them ahead. Baker forces his way down to the bottom side, takes that spot away. Shepard back around that black and white curbing, gets right back in front of the 51, and look at how close they were. If they weren't making contact, you couldn't have fit much between them.
And that's the love of racing right there. Using your car to every point of advantage, maybe even using it to move your opponent just a little bit. Going into Cops right now, Shepard again hauls it in, will maintain the lead, but Baker not really showing any signs of remorse, going to the inside, really going into Maggots, and then the outside for the long sweeping left.
Or right, either way. Directions
Or right,
are hard.
you know what? Yeah, you know.
Rob Baker with a crossover
I gotta
here.
use my hand.
Yeah, an L makes left, and
Yes.
backwards L is right, as we've got side by side here. Adam Shepard on the left side now. Again, we got to make that L as we go into Brooklands, and Rob Baker squeezes right back in behind Chris Knox back in this battle. That was really good stuff down the backstretch, and I think Rob Baker is going to have to get smart, maybe, with Adam Shepard. Adam has easily been the hardest driver to pass, the hardest driver to race around, I think, all season long, just because he's so good and so difficult to race. I mean, he's like Ryan Newman in NASCAR. He makes it very difficult on you as a race car driver, be it to pass or defend. He's just a very aggressive but very good race car driver, and to my knowledge, has some experience in the real world. It escapes me exactly what he's raced. It might be touring cars, to be entirely honest with you. I know I've been told at one point, and I've just kind of forgotten, but he's got that real racing experience. And you know, Zach, you've gotten some wheel-to-wheel experience. That little bit of confidence, I think, goes a long way.
Oh, the confidence goes, you give yourself a little bit of confidence, it's going to go an entire mile. Like, if you feel like you're confident enough to step behind an actual car, drive it around, not wreck it, not get into anyone, and bring it home in one piece, then you're probably able to do that. A bit of a block going into Brooklyn there from Shepard. Like you were saying earlier, the hardest person to get around, it's really starting to show through, even with a little bit. Even with this Baker being able to get to his inside and outside a couple of times, Shepard has not really flexed or bent at all. He's really maintained his own line, maintained his own speed. All 5 cars now starting to put themselves right back on top of each other. Baker again looking to the inside going into Cops and straightens themselves back out. But that little bit of confidence really is what can really drive you to do things that you wouldn't normally do if you didn't have said confidence.
And at this point, I think it's driving Rob Baker to drink, because it is getting difficult out there to pass. And it's been difficult to pass the entire time. I think that the draft on these straightaways opens opportunities, but opportunity does not mean success. You've got to take that opportunity and do a whole lot with it if you want to succeed at making that pass. And so far, Rob Baker has, I think, just held himself back just enough, as I think that was a block, potentially, with Chris Knox and Tom McMahon. There's some contact. Those onboards are nice to show what's happening ahead. You miss a little bit behind, but you can learn a lot about what's happening behind because, you know, the way they drive. And right there, we learned a whole lot as more contact is made through Luffield. Wayne Douglas now on the inside of Tom McMahon. through Woodcote. That should sort that position out potentially. As no, Knox is going to come back over, give the slipstream to the 66 car, and Douglas will have to slip back in behind. Adam Shepard still leading the way. This is good stuff. I mean, this is hard to leave.
This really is, and I mean, with them being all on top of each other, that's what makes it so hard to leave right now, just because every time they get a little bit of spread out, they start battling, give them about a lap or two, and they're right back on top of each other. Right now, Knox, a little bit of a touch from Baker to Shepard. He's to the inside through Maggots and Aimtree. Does he have the position?
That wasn't a little bit of a touch. That was a lot of a touch. That was big.
Right now, side by side, even going down the backstretch, going into Brooklands. Shepard has the corner, but he slips up a little bit. The crossover from Baker. Oh, and big contact sends Baker out.
And Rob Baker will be none too happy about that. He was very upset with some of the racing a week ago at Snetterton and joins right back in with Sam Smith. This will make a nice little battle. Shane Piggott got on by the 51. Now Mark Johnston draws up to these guys. This will be exciting.
Like we were watching up front, now these guys back here about the 6th, 7th, 8th positions right here. Or excuse me, 5th, 6th, and 7th. Maybe even 8th right now. 3 wide, looking like it's going to go into Maggots. Are they going to stay that way? This is a tight part of the track to be going 3 wide. Backs out.
Wow,
and
Rob
it looks
Baker.
like, yep, Baker really shoved it in there trying to get every part he could trying to get out of that 3 wide.
Yeah, Rob Baker's getting aggressive. He is driving with a chip on his shoulder now, as you can see Seal flashing the lights ahead to Mark Johnston. Let's go back up front. Chris Knox now in 2nd place. Has not been around all that often as of late, but has rejoined the series, getting back out here, mixing it up with his friends. And Tom McMahon is making it hard on him. These two have definitely swapped some paint already in this race, battling for 3rd and 4th earlier, now 2nd and 3rd, as Shepard might just be in his own kind of zip code right now. It has seemed like, I think, Adam Shepard and Rob Baker were even, and now Chris Knox and Tom McMahon are maybe a little bit further behind Adam Shepard, but they are even with each other.
And using that draft really to try to get up to Shepard. You see Knox starting to close the gap a little bit on Shepard, but you see Douglas now just kind of hanging in with these guys. He's made a few looks, he's tried to pull off a few moves, not really done too much, but I mean, he's been able to hang with these guys, and he's top 5 right now. He's 4th. He's the highest of the Pro-Ams.
Yep, that's a win. That will be a win for him as long as he holds on to things. You can see the battle behind with Rob Baker and Shane Piggott. Let's watch this into Brooklands. There's also been a great battle with Roger Morton and Craig Schill for the amateur win. It's been a shame that we haven't been able to see much of it as Baker gets that spot back away from Piggott. Here's a look at it, though. Roger Morton just ahead of Craig Schill, and we'll get the 1 to go signal presented by Whiplash Simcams in just a moment out of Woodcote. These are your amateur race leaders. Just behind Jamie Goodall, it's Roger Morton and Craig Schill. Let's go back up front because Adam Shepard has just taken the white flag presented by Whiplash Simcams.
These guys right now a little spread out. Maybe competition for 3rd is what may be happening, but Shepard was able to kind of, after that mix-up with Baker, he's able to step away for a little bit. Chris Knox following in suit, trying to use the draft to as much as to his advantage as he can. It doesn't look like the draft is going to be able to pull him up. Here's Baker now in front of the 2nd group after that bit of contact between him and Shepard.
Back up to the top 3, top 4. McMahon slow out of Aintree, I think having to give up some time. He's going to give that 3rd place to Wayne Douglas. And Adam Shepard is just about uncontested ahead of these guys. And yeah, at this point he really is. Through Luffield, nice and open racetrack behind him. White flag officially comes out. And it will be checkers this time out of Woodcote for Adam Shepard. Another race win. And McMahon is still hemorrhaging time. I think he's got to slow down. He's trying to give it all up. But across the line, checkers for Adam Shepard. Chris Knox goes 2nd. Then it's Wayne Douglas into the line. Rob Baker over Shane Piggott with a big block on Mark Johnston. McMahon slots himself into 8th, and I think he might have had a penalty there at the end. It seems like he had a slowdown, certainly.
And that's the hardest thing, too, to try to give up that slowdown, plus keep at least some sort of time as we look at some of the cars coming across to finish their race as well. That's the hardest part, really, is to try to give up the time that you need to for a black flag and to try to keep as many positions as possible. I feel like McMahon did a pretty good job of it, being able to hold inside the top 10, but it just terrible luck right there at the end for him.
Roger Morton does hang on to the amateur win by half second over Craig Schill. We'll get full results here in just one moment, but first up, Zach, your first time at the spinny wheel. JP has predicted the invert a couple times. Do you want to take a shot?
We're gonna go at number 11. Okay, that was okay. Oh, it didn't hang on!
Ooh.
It didn't hang on!
That was so close. I was, yeah, that was something. We'll probably change these numbers a little bit just to fit this slightly smaller field size, because 17 is just about the entire field. I think 85% of the field. But we'll go ahead and mix that up a little bit before race number, before the invert after race number 2. But it is going to be 17 this first time around, which again, completely flips the field. In football, they call it a field flipper when you go from one side of the field to the other. Or I guess for you guys, it would be, well, from one side of the pitch to the other. In soccer,
there you go.
We call it soccer. I'm sorry. It's just we're American. You guys have to deal with it for a little bit, but yeah. You know what? We had the Super Bowl coming up later this weekend. Yeah, I think this is our weekend,
especially with the Super Bowl.
Yeah, this is our week or our weekend to call it our football. Anyways, you call it a field flipper when you go from the 25-yard line to the opposite 25-yard line, for example, or from one end of the pitch to the other. This is a field flipper where you're taking the 17th and now putting them first place. And in a 40-car field, that doesn't feel like a whole lot. In a 20-car field, that's a lot. Let's go ahead and look at your race results, and we'll get an idea of exactly who's going where.
All right, well, Adam Shepard, obviously we well documented it, will be the first person across the line. Chris Knox and Wayne Douglas, the first Pro-Am to cross the line. He will get that Pro-Am win. Rob Baker, Shane Piggott will be your top 5. Mark Johnston, Sam Smith, 6th and 7th. Tom McMahon, as we documented, had a bit of a slowdown or had a bit of some trouble. Whipped from 3rd all the way back down to 8th. He will be finishing 8th. Michael Seal and Carl Hardy, 9th and 10th.
Looks like we have 8 Pro-Ams in the field as a whole, and all of them will be inverted. So that means that your guys who just won the race, Wayne Douglas will now start 8th of the Pro-Am drivers, Shane Piggott 7th. So that's kind of where those guys will situate, if you will. I know, situate. Anyways, Lee Holmes will will finish 11th in this race. Will now start from the 7th spot. Jamie Goodall finishes 12th. Roger Morton, Craig Schill, Ollie Ricks, your amateur podium. They are going to flip, and they will be the only amateur drivers within our invert today. Ralph Cullinan, 16th. He will now start second for race number 2. James Neve will start on pole for this upcoming race, which is important for that Gulf Hyundai. He got in that incident with James Clark earlier on in the day. That will be important for him to flip those points back around in his favor, hopefully, in race number 2. Sir Alan Toon just misses that invert, will start 18th. Fiona Siddons 19th, and James Clark will start from 20th spot in this upcoming race. Of course, there might be some drivers added to the field that's happened before. We'll see, and hopefully we do get a couple of extra, because that would mix things up in a nice little way. It is worth mentioning, with that extra win for Adam Shepard now, that brings him up to 4 wins, which, as we saw in the standings, that was the biggest difference aside from just points. Tom McMahon with 4 wins coming into today. Adam Shepard now gets that 4th win and joins him on that same level. Luke Kidsley came in with 3 wins today, but isn't here. So Kidsley will now fall just a little bit further back, and Baker should take over that 3rd spot with ease. Shane Piggott is going to move very close, I think, today to that Pro-Am lead. We'll have to see how it all sorts out. Even Michael Steele could be in that conversation by the end of the afternoon. We will take a step aside and be right back to you in just a few moments after a quick intermission here in between race 1 and race 2 for round number 7 at Silverstone.
Sound Art introduces an entirely new way to listen to music in your home by combining the best of two products, a revolutionary high-fidelity, low-profile Bluetooth wireless speaker with beautiful artwork. Select from a library of artwork or upload your own photos to personalize your experience. Sound Art ushers in an era of invisible, beautiful, and amazing sound throughout your home and redefines your entire entertainment system. The need to reclaim your floor space and rid your home of unsightly speaker boxes that need to be bolted to the wall is now a thing of the past. Our canvas is printed on high-quality permalite by Breathing Color. And select from our gallery or upload your own. Standard sizes include 16 by 20 and 18 by 24 canvas wrapped. Custom sizing is available, as well as surround sound options.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
Welcome back to the virtual Silverstone circuit, and as you can see, B-roll, nice and sunny, clear skies, well, partly cloudy skies, I suppose, but it looked like a nice day to be at Silverstone, ready for a race. It wasn't so much so on Tuesday, it wasn't even so much so in race 1, and it is, admittedly, clearer, Zach. There's a lot more blue sky out there, but right now, a lot of clouds still, and the reason this this is so worthy to bring up, I suppose. That's where I was trying to go with all of that. The reason we talk about this so much is because it drastically impacts how you bring the tires up to temperature, and everything about car racing revolves around how you get the tires to how you get the tires to temperature and how you build those pressures. I know aero is a big thing as well, but the tires are the one thing between the car and the track, the one thing that makes contact, at least if it's set up correctly. So the tires are easily the most important thing. If the tires are at the right temperature, the right pressure, you will likely succeed. If not, you're going to be a little bit off, and this shade really throws these guys for a loop, especially trying to tune the setups as they need to.
And if anything's wrong with that kind of setup, that kind of pressure inside the tires, the car isn't going to perform well. Like you said, that's the only thing touching the track, and that's the thing making the car go. You could have it on jack stands and have the engine revving as hard as you can, but as long as there's nothing touching the track or nothing touching the ground, the car isn't going to go anywhere. So having that is neat. having that relationship between the tire and the track and even the car is very much needed for these guys to perform at an optimum level.
You want those Ford Desert Eagles to be pressurized the right way.
You had to bring up old memes.
I had to. David and I were talking about it the other day, but we've got a field of 20 ready to go. The top 17 have been inverted, which now gives us Adam Shepard in car 17, starting from the 17th position. I think it was always meant to be. We can quickly flash through the grid. You can see Ralph Cullen in there, starting from second with James Neve on pole. Ollie Ricks there in row 2. Roger Morton back here after winning in amateur. And just a look here at some of how the field shakes out. Lee Holmes, Carl Hardy there. Wrap up the top 10. That's where you get your first pro driver, Tom McMahon, in the 10th spot. That's going to be different. That's going to be interesting as we get ready already for race number 2. That's how quickly it happens here in the BSRTC. Let's go for race number 2. Red lights on, waiting on green lights, and we're off and away.
Not too good of a start from the third place car. I wasn't able to see who that was. It looked like the 5th place had to check up 3 wide pretty much already. Huge grouping of people trying to get a good jump and others not getting the best of jump. Second place on back is just a cluster. This is just a hornet's nest right here.
And several cars starting from the pit lane as well. They saw this coming. This has definitely flipped the field on its head. Ollie Ricks getting out ahead, but in second, James Neve is your race leader down the backstretch towards Brooklands for the first time. You see Tom McMahon and others working through this field. Let's take it on board.
And he sees this 3 wide in front of him into the hardest point. One backs out. That's probably smart on their part. McMahon dives.
Oh, Roger Morton gets destroyed!
Big.
The blinking
Big
Adam
foul.
Shepard just drove right through Roger Morton, and this is going to be problematic. Rob Baker trying to race with him now, and that turns Adam Shepard around.
Yeah. I can't really fault McMahon for that one, really. I mean, the Shepard blinking in and out wasn't really there the entire time, so I can't really fault, McMahon at all for it.
Yeah, at that point, you know, you're up to the driver and their connection. And, you know, fortunately for Adam Shepard, we talked to him last week after Snetterton. Unfortunately, you're taking all of that at your own risk, and, yeah, unfortunately, that's not gone well. Let's watch this for Roger Morton, who's been sent to the rear of the field very quickly. He was slow out of injury, which already sets up for a bad situation with a blinking car approaching. And, you know, for Adam, I think it would have just been a lot smarter. He's so fast, he can sit back on this first lap and get positions later. So Shepard goes up the inside with the connection issues, and that sends Morton for a slide. Yeah, that takes McMahon along with him. It was Baker that made contact with Shepard further ahead. And there's Rob Baker there, gets to the inside, just trying to race, and pushes out a little bit and knocks the 17 offline. Shepard's still having some connection issues even live. Let's go ahead and get to it.
My apologies. I thought that was McMahon that was there instead of Baker. Baker got his a little bit of a revenge, even though it was due to some blinking. Baker able to kind of enact his revenge a little bit. As we kind of go up further towards the front here, well, actually mid-pack right now, it looks like, not sure who
this
we
is
are
Shane
on
Piggott,
board with.
just behind Wayne Douglas. This is good stuff, just the back end of the top 10. A lot of Pro-Ams in this top 10. Douglas out wide, almost makes contact with Goodall. This is a 3-wide opportunity. Is Piggott going to take it? Yes, he's going to go left side now, try and get an overlap here on the 575, and will back out. That's intelligent there from Piggott. Let these guys do battle. Goodall's in a little bit deep. One car off. That is Ollie Ricks out in the dirt. Is Ollie going to get back on? Yes. Good catch there from Ollie Ricks.
It was a great catch from Ollie Ricks. He kind of put himself right back here into the hornet's nest, but that's okay. He was able to keep his car straight, so that's really the only thing he could be, or the thing he could be thankful for right now. But the bad thing is, now that he's back here in the hornet's nest, should something happen to him, he can drop positions very dramatically, leave Schill, the only amateur right now, or the lead amateur of the car.
Oh,
Stack.
no. That is a massive hit for Ollie. That car is junk. I absolutely destroyed.
That car's done. He's got no left side. Bumper's gone.
That's almost akin to Max Verstappen this past year. I mean, that was a big hit there. This is on the exit of Cops, however. Wayne Douglas just washes out a little bit wide, makes a little bit of contact. So it's different, obviously, in that, oh my gosh, it wasn't into Cops, but that is still a massive hit.
With the front drive like that, trying to save it, the back end wiggles out. You correct to try to get the back end, but his front wheel drive, the car's going to go wherever you point, and just the little bit of overcorrect in the front wheel is what did him in.
Watch it one more time. Douglas just comes over a little bit, and this is going to be a big hit.
Oh!
It actually feels less so from that angle on board, but yeah, that was a big one. You can see one of his wheels out there as cars come on through the picture. Let's get back live, though. Adam Shepard working his way through this field up into 9th position now, still blinking. You got to be careful of that. I mean, it's routine, honestly. It is very routine at this point, the blinking. He's there for a couple of seconds and then gone. There for a couple of seconds and gone, and this is really dangerous.
Yeah, especially right here. With
Into
the blinking,
Brooklands,
you don't really know. Yeah, right here in the Brooklands into the hardest braking zone. You see him for a little bit, and he's gone into arguably the hardest part.
Oh, Cullinan sideways caught it.
A lot of contact happening through Brooklands, but, I mean, it was to be expected, really, for how hard of a braking zone that is. You got to slide the car out to take the inside for left field. It really to be expected.
The thing I think Adam needs to do here is be be predictable. Make your moves early if you're going to, since they can only see half of what you're doing. Otherwise, you've got to sit in line, and I think that's, hopefully he learned that from lap 1, but that's what happened with Roger Morton and Tom McMahon, and McMahon has been in the pit lane ever since. So, since you're new, Zach, and anybody else who might be new, drivers in the pit lane that are multiple laps down are not eligible for inverts. So you can't sit back there in 20th and hope you get a full field invert. It's not going to work that way. You've got to finish up front to be eligible for it, as Sam Smith and Rob Baker start to go at it. This is for second on the racetrack. And also, Sam Smith is second in Pro-Am. There are more Pro-Am drivers in the top 3 than Pro drivers, as, we might have had an issue back here. No issue, just that blinking. It keeps making the timing and scoring light up all kinds of colors.
Looks like he's pretty solid for right now, actually, Shepard.
This is the most we've seen him in this race.
Yeah, this is also true. This is the most we've seen him in this race, and this is the most we've seen him without blinking. So maybe the connection issues maybe have subsided for at least just a little bit. Hopefully for the next 8 minutes for these guys around him so they know where he is. But looks like it's subsided for the time being.
Gonna make a move here on Cullinan, maybe sit back. Now he does make the move. Cullinan out well and wide. Oh, the result clothing car gets a handle on that. I don't know where I was going to go with all of that, but thankfully catches that race car, now gets back on behind Carl Hardy, one of his teammates, and Fiona Siddons, and they will get back after it. Let's go back up front. Sam Smith, Rob Baker, rinse and repeat. They're battling again through Brooklands and left field. The Simtech Racing 525 on the outside. That opens the door for Rob Baker on the inside, but who can get the power down the best? I think it might be Rob Baker.
Just might be now. A little bit of tow from the leader might help. He might be just enough ahead of them where the tow doesn't really help. It looks like Smith does get a good run going into Cops right here. Baker to the inside will look to clear him. Still not clear of him yet, but this might be a deciding factor coming into Maggots right here.
Very close there. Smith now out wide. I think he got a little bit scared, thought Baker was going to come over on him, and thankfully no contact. He gets right back in behind, and these guys can get back after it. The 88 Tech 982 of Craig Schill, though. How about this guy? 4th position overall. His nearest competition is 10 seconds behind, at least in class, and a little over 10 positions behind as well. Fiona Siddons well far in back of this 982 of Craig Schill. This is good for Craig anyways. This is going to be big in the points.
It's going to be big in the points, but think about the confidence boost that you're getting right now. Being a part of the amateur driver, only amateur driver inside the top 10, running with Pro-Ams and Pros. He's in front of Shepard, he's in front of Knox. He's pretty much hanging with Baker and Smith. This is good for an amateur driver, good for the confidence. Goes a little, uses the rumble strips right there, kind of push his car out, but right now, good run for Schill right now, especially for being the amateur, the only amateur inside the top 10.
And he got that win in Trophy Tuesday Miata action at Daytona, which was very important. Race 2 at Daytona, almost got it in Race 2 in BSRTC competition at Daytona as well. Ever since then, Craig Schill has been a completely different driver. The confidence is up as, here we go, Rob Baker, an aggressive move to the inside of James Neve, saw an opportunity, takes it. This is for the overall race lead, and Baker's going to have him as Sam Smith comes through, and Craig Schill and Wayne Douglas starting to go after it as well, just behind. Schill now on the outside of left field, and that's going to open the door for Douglas to roll right on through. This is going to be good here towards the end. Adam Shepard is working his way up as well.
Adam Shepard is pretty much working his way up. He's got Piggott right in front of him. Piggott right on the tail end of this battle that we're showing right now. But here's Shepard. He made his way into the top 10 after the well-documented blinking, almost 3 wide between these guys back here. I think Goodall, Knox, and Asil almost looked to be 3 wide coming into Maggots. Close racing. Oh, we got one sideways. That was Shepard.
That it was. Maybe some contact with Seal there. The 3 cars we were looking at through Cops and now actually joining these two are Knox, Goodall, and Holmes. Lee Holmes in that blue and green 88 Tech car, as Shepard takes that spot back away from Michael Seal, but has lost a lot of time as they work on into Brooklands, and those cars behind, they sort themselves out as well. Goodall taking point, at least holding on to point. Chris Knox battling right with he and Lee Holmes. Let's go back up front as we work out of Woodcote. First still Rob Baker, second now, owned by Sam Smith in the SimTech Racing 525. That puts James Neve down into third, and the top 4 in Pro-Am are all on a line.
And this is good for really Baker right now, because these top 4 in Pro-Ams are, like you said, right in the line. They're going to be battling even that much harder. This is all in class for them. Baker able to get a little bit of distance between him and these 4 pro-amateur drivers. This is also a good thing for Baker. We were talking about it earlier for points. Baker was 4th, now should be 3rd, excuse me, after Kinsley did not show up today. Baker in line right now to get his 3rd win on the season, put him 1 behind both Shepard and McMahon. But right now the focus is on the pro-amateur drivers. A lot of moving and a lot of shaking as Schill still continues to hang with these guys.
It's now a line of 6 up here. Rob Baker leads. A few Pro-Am drivers, 4 to be exact, in between a pro and an amateur in Craig Schill in this front line. Adam Shepard is the nearest pro competitor to Rob Baker. Here's a look at some battling. 4 cars, including Michael Seal, Chris Knox, Jamie Goodall, and Lee Holmes. So now your assessment from earlier would have been correct, as Chris Knox just pounds the back end of that 557 car. That was big contact. We'll work into Maggots here. That was close again.
I was gonna say Seal got a little bit of a poor exit off of Cops. He was to the inside there, couldn't really get the power down to fade the car to the outside, allow Knox to get up to him. Now we look back up here towards the front. Again, a lot of moving and a lot of shaking right now. Sam Smith in front of Douglas and Neve. Right to the bumper through Luffield, coming up to Woodcote.
We'll have 3 laps to go this time by. We haven't really looked at the weather in this race, but just to keep track of it here as some battles go on, air temp has cooled down, track temp has picked up as we've had some sunlight, and Chris Knox has gone around and has problems for the 23 car. Oh boy. That car, nope. Just nope. That's not how you want that to be.
Just nope.
Oh, this is big contact with Ian Goodall. We'll get a look at it here. Watch the multicolored Lego 23 car and the Luxem 575 on the outside. Oh, just some contact there, and watch this.
Oh.
There's big contact there, and Chris Knox with no steering. Oh my goodness.
Had nowhere to go. Like you said, no steering, not able to steer around it. Arguably the worst out of that, it looked like, I'm not for sure who was on his outside. Got away with it pretty much cleanly, maybe a little bit of damage on the right side.
That's Goodall out there in the Luxem 24 car.
Goodall, a little bit of contact sends Goodall down into Knox.
Yeah,
Knox,
Jamie at least continued on, but oh my gosh. That's a hit and a half.
That's when you're thankful for safety equipment.
That's when you're thankful this is a sim.
Yeah, this is also very true. This is also very true.
Side by side up front, Sam Smith, a crossover now after the slide. We don't say that a whole lot in touring car racing, but that's exactly what that was. And Neve gets turned around in front of the field. He will back it off of the course. Good heads up driving there to get out of harm's way. James Neve turned around in contact with Wayne Douglas and Shane Piggott. And this is the race down to Brooklands. It's now a 5-car race. Rob Baker has set himself away from it a little bit. So really, it's a 4-car race. Second on back is Smith. Oh, these guys are getting handsy.
These guys are getting handsy. And the more they race, the more Shepard starts to catch him. He's almost reeled in this little 4-car pack right here. He's about a second off of him. But, I mean, right now, this is the final lap. You're coming across it for the white flag presented by Whiplash Cams. I mean, oh, man, with how close these guys are, they're going to... Oh, man, there's no words to really describe how close these guys are. Now, how hard this racing is going to be right here at the end.
This will not be simple and clean. This will be the arduous of bargies for the final lap. Here we go. Sam Smith around the outside. He goes a bit wide. That opens the door for Wayne Douglas. We might have 3 wide for the top 3 in Pro-Am. We're on board with Shane Piggott. Ahead is Rob Baker. Behind is Craig Schill and even Adam Shepard. Carl Hardy with a problem on this final lap. Down to Brooklands will go. Very far down the inside goes Wayne Douglas. Sam Smith backs up a little bit. Shane Piggott's trying to find a way through. Adam Shepard just wants points. This is the white flag presented by Whiplash SimCams, the final time through Luffield, and it's oh so close for second on back, but Rob Baker takes another win. He wins race number 2 at Silverstone. Sam Smith goes second. No, it's Wayne Douglas taking second, it looks like, and the Pro-Am win goes the way of the 501. Then it's Sam Smith, Shane Piggott, and Craig Schill takes your amateur win.
And Craig Schill takes the top 5, or back end of the top 5 as well. Adam Shepard's just going to be on the outside looking in through it, but through everything that we were talking about earlier, there's still a good recovery for Shepard. Holmes, Seal, Clark, Goodall to finish out the top 10.
Further on back, just waiting on one car to finish. That's Sir Alan Toon as he rounds Luffield now. You can see the order there on the left side of the screen. And as he comes across, that will do it for race number 2. Now, we said that there would be some different numbers involved in our next spin. Zach, before we show it, I want to continue this whole guessing game. Do you have any guesses as to where we're going with some of these things?
Let's see. There's probably about an 8-car field invert. Maybe the 11's still going to be there. Maybe 13 now car invert. That's going to be about where I'm going to put my guess.
Certainly not bad guesses. I like kind of where you're going. We've brought like the 21 down, the 18, the 19. We've brought those down to some different values. So kind of changing things up. We'll go ahead and bring it in now. We do have our spinny wheel. So you can see we got a 13 in there now in place of what used to be an 18. We changed the 21 over to a 9, and the 19 is now a 15. So just some different numbers, and one that's under 10. That's going to be interesting, and I promise you, it might look like a 6 the way it's oriented. That is a 9. That is a 9, I promise. Let's go ahead and spin it up and get our second invert on the day.
It's going to land on 9.
No,
oh
definitely
my God.
not. 17 again, maybe? Oh!
No, I think this one's going to be 11, buddy.
That is 11. So you were one race off, it looks like. One race off.
One race off. Watch, next race is going to be 9.
We get an 11 beforehand. So we had 17, then 11. So that's going to change things up pretty drastically. And I like who that puts on pole because he just started this race from outside pole, or in this case, right side pole. Ralph Cullinan will start the next one on pole, but we'll get a full look at your race results right here.
All right, well, Rob Baker, Wayne Douglas, we were talking about them earlier. Rob Baker was able to step away. Wayne Douglas going to be your Pro-Am winner of that race. Will be P2, Sam Smith, Shane Piggott, and Craig Schill will be your top 5. Again, Craig Schill, the only amateur to finish inside the top 10. Is a good win for him. Adam Shepard, Lee Holmes, Michael Seal, James Clark, and Jamie Goodall will be your 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th.
Before we get to 11th through 20th, I just noticed over on the YouTube chat, Tom McMahon chimed in. It was not a penalty at the end of race number 1. He just wanted to give a position back to Shane Piggott. That is sportsmanship, I have to say. To give up several spots, that is some sportsmanship. He just wanted to give it back. He had hoped to do so earlier, but was waiting on Shane to maybe catch up, and finally had the opportunity to just back off on the last lap and give those spots up. So props there to Tom McMahon, who does unfortunately finish right at the bottom here after that lap 1 contact with Adam Shepard and Roger Morton. Ralph Cullinan finishes 11th, which means, again, he will start race number 3 on pole. His second race in a row, then, that he's going to start from the front row anyways. James Neve. So really, those two are switching now a little bit, because James Neve was the benefactor earlier, and now James Neve is actually going to stay in 12th. So not really switching, are they? Anyways, Mark Johnston will finish 13th and start from 13th for race number 3. We've not seen a whole lot of him today, which is unfortunate. He was very good at Snetterton, very good the last few rounds, but not what we expected out of Mark Johnson today. We'll see if that changes in race 3. You see Carl Hardy, Fiona Siddons there. Did Fiona get the race win? No, sorry, Craig Schill went fifth. That's right. Okay, so yeah. Craig Schill finished well up there. Fiona Siddons then takes second in class, just ahead of Roger Morton and Sir Alan Toon. Chris Knox, Ollie Ricks, and Tom McMahon round out your race 2 results. So a bit of a lighter field, certainly a few fewer battles, I suppose you could say, but the intensity, the action has not dropped off at all here at Silverstone. We'll be right back in just a few moments for race number 3. The invert is 11, and Ralph Cullinan will start that race on pole. Don't go anywhere. This is BSRTC on Pit Stop TV.
Have you found yourself trying to hide your joy because you're unhappy with your teeth? Your smile is the first feature noticed in an interview, on a date, or in family photos. We want you to be able to shine bright as your best self, and our teeth whitening system is the perfect step toward restoring your confidence.
Sound Art introduces an entirely new way to listen to music in your home. By combining the best of two products, a revolutionary high-fidelity, low-profile Bluetooth wireless speaker with beautiful artwork. Select from a library of artwork or upload your own photos to personalize your experience. Sound Art ushers in an era of invisible, beautiful, and amazing sound throughout your home and redefines your entire entertainment system. The need to reclaim your floor space and rid your home of unsightly speaker boxes that need to be bolted to the wall is now a thing of the past. Our canvas is printed on high-quality permalite by Breathing Color. And select from our gallery or upload your own. Standard sizes include 16 by 20 and 18 by 24 canvas wrapped. Custom sizing is available, as well as surround sound options.
Welcome back to the virtual Silverstone. It has been a wild day of racing so far, and the best thing, the sun has come out. We've got sunlight here at Silverstone, properly blue skies. Like, this is good. This is good to see. We like to see this. It means we've got shadows across the racetrack. It means tire temps are to come up for these final couple of races here, Zach, or at least this race, because we know how much the weather can swing in these BSR sessions, but this sunlight is good. It means the track temp is going to warm up a little bit, at least compared to what it could be. You can see it is still quite cool, down in the 60s Fahrenheit. That's a little under 20 Celsius, which is a little on the cool side, but not too bad.
Yeah, and as the drivers continue to run over the circuit, it's going to warm it up just a little bit. At least the line itself that they run is going to warm it up at least a little bit. So with the sun beating down, hot cars coming over a cool part of the pavement, it's going to heat up just a little bit. And this race might actually turn the tide on some of the.
Do you see
like
what
we were
track
talking
temp
earlier?
jump? Okay, I hate to just interrupt. The track temp jumped to 92 or 91 for a second, and has come back down. So maybe some potential for it to rise. It's still saying 66. It may be 90, and the sim isn't giving us that information accurately. But anyways, we'll go ahead and get ready for race number 3 here. And I have to notice we're one car lighter than we were previously. And I'm looking around for who that might be. Ralph Cullinan is still here. I see Chris Knox, Rob Baker, Mark Johnson. I think all the pros are still here that were here. I don't see James Neve. I don't think James Neve has made it for race number 3. So for whatever reason, I think the 556 has called it a day as we get ready for race number 3. Cullinan is not gridded up. That means Jamie Goodall is the first car on the grid. Red lights on, green lights now on, and we're racing for race 3 at Silverstone.
Yeah, and this is just going to cause the hornet's nest for about a lap or two. I mean, just the amount of cars here. Oh, already a little bit of contact going through the first corner there through Copse. Way out wide, but we already got ourselves a battle for the lead.
Adam Shepard and Michael Seal are going to go at it, side by side, into Maggots for the first time. Look at this up front. 2 by 2 by 2 by 2. Seal on the outside. That's going to give way to Shepard to take that lead outright. We'll race down this backstretch to Brooklands will go. Goodall moving around, looking for the right line. Lee Holmes back there as well. Nose to tail the top 2. Seal stays right behind Shepard. He is hounding him for that race lead.
And this is going to be
contact!
Like you said earlier, contact! Shepard's going to be able to hang on to it, keep the front, or keep the lead, excuse me, but contact there already messing with their minds just a little bit, but like we were talking earlier, we were talking about how it was overcast most of the time and clouds in front of the sun. This race, there's no clouds in front of the sun. There's nothing but sun on this track. So this is going to be a whole different dynamic for some of these guys. Whatever they were used to the last 2 races, throw it out the window, because this is going to change it up entirely.
The biggest thing is references. The temperatures may change as well, obviously. We'll see how that goes in this race. We talked about that already, but references around the racetrack as Michael Seals on the outside, Jamie Goodall powering through, trying to take spots away, Shane Piggott trying to follow. This is a good Pro-Am battle.
Again, the top of the Pro-Am is 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. They control pretty much the top side of the top 5. Right now, Baker looking to start throwing his name in. Holmes giving him a battle, him and Baker.
3 wide further back. Fiona Siddon's a part of it, and Fiona's going to go out wide, gets hit. She saves it, and will now go well around the outside of Luffield and get back on now in 14th spot. That was contact with Chris Knox and one other. That might have been Wayne Douglas. Tom McMahon there as well. And Adam Shepard starting to have connection issues again, maybe.
It looks like he's solid as of right now. Again, the Pro-Am starting to go at it. Looked like Piggott is looking to the, well, outside going into Maggots and then inside through the long sweeping right. Let's see if I can get it right this time.
I get it.
Yeah. We'll complete the pass over Seal. Piggott will.
On board with Lee Holmes in the 6th position, just behind Rob Baker. You can see Michael Seal takes a look at the inside of Shane Piggott, but no dice. Goodall continues to lead in Pro-Am. And Baker's got to try and get through these guys. He was in front of them the entire race in race 2. He's now got to try and get through them in race 3 if he wants to save face and go up there and get a race win again. This is going to be tough. And he's now right back to 1 win behind Shepard. He came in today 1 win behind Shepard, but they had 1 win less than they do now. Shepard got a win, Baker got a win, and Baker wants to go up there and one-up him again.
And if Shepard were to win this one, he'll have more wins than McMahon. We were talking about it earlier in the broadcast. McMahon having 4 and Shepard only having 3. Now they're tied. Now Shepard leading in front of all these Pro-Am drivers. Kind of putting Baker in a hole here. He's able to get around Seal. Looks like Holmes is going to try to follow suit. That's a good thing for Holmes. One thing that I was going to mention.
Let's fall back a little bit. That area that Tom McMahon is in, along with Mark Johnston and some others. Here we go. McMahon battling with Wayne Douglas down to Brooklands. Douglas around the outside gives way. James Clark up the inside of... Oh, that was Sam Smith he's battling with. Nose to tail, and oh, in Luffield, Smith hits him pretty good. Can't move him offline just yet. Roger Morton there as well. Battles throughout the entire field. Johnston and Holmes doing battle here. This is for 6th.
Johnston and Holmes. Holmes trying to hang on. We didn't really see him much. We saw him a little bit battling with some of the Pro-Am drivers last race. He's trying to hang on this time to battle with them again, but he's being hounded by 2 pro drivers. We saw him battling with Baker a little while ago. Now here's Johnston battling with him. He's able to hold on to the position for the time being, but that battling's just going to bring you further and further back away from your actual class battles.
Look how close he gets there to the back end of Holmes. That was on board with Johnston. Shepard starting to gap the field. We've seen this before as Baker's going to have a move up the inside, looking at Goodall here. Gets that spot, at least in Brooklands. And, oh, Michael Seal with a drift.
And that's going to put him right back into the clutches of Holmes and Johnston. Holmes now looking to his inside, to his right side, I should say, coming through Luffield, now coming through Woodcote, still side by side for that position.
Shepard leads, and it's Piggott, then it's Baker who did get that 3rd spot away from from Goodall rather, Jamie Goodall. And this is going to be important. It's a 1.7 gap or 1.7 second gap now for Baker up to your race leader. How is that going to change over the course of this race? As there's some great battling further back. Look at all this. Seal on the outside now of Lee Holmes. Mark Johnston has fallen back a little bit. McMahon got on through them all, so McMahon is up to 5th. If McMahon and Baker can get together without Baker losing too much time, that could be a really good duo. It's going to be tough, though.
It is going to be tough, especially when you got someone out like Shepard running a very consistent line each and every single time. But we were seeing it earlier. Baker was one of the faster ones. He just couldn't get around Shepard. So now maybe if he can't get around Piggott at some point, be able to run down Shepard. But time is of the essence here. Time is wasting and running very, very quickly for some of these pro guys to go up there and catch Shepard. For everyone else, however, it's just a matter of how well can they finish in their own classes.
Good looks here from Rob Baker in race number 3. He's made up about a 10th since a lap ago. But you got to make up more than a 10th. You got to really work with Shane Piggott here.
Yeah,
and he's going to go to the inside of Maggots.
That's get you anywhere.
Oh, contact!
Oh, contact! And that's going to slow you up even that much more. Now, because of that, that's going to put you 2 seconds behind Shepard, maybe even a little bit more. 2 seconds and a 10th, 2.1.
Be careful of that.
Yeah, he maintains at around 2 seconds, but that's how it starts to really run away from you. You start battling with someone, it really starts to slow the both of you down. It enables people to either catch you or run away.
I don't think there's any working together going on here, and they need to. They really do need to if they want to go catch Adam Shepard. They cannot battle like this, especially with this little time left, already coming up on halfway in this race. They've got to get together. They've got to work together on the straightaways. They've got to draft.
And because of all this has enabled Johnson and McMahon to put himself inside the top 5. I don't think they're going to catch these guys in particular, but that does kind of help McMahon as far as points-wise. That does help Shepard as far as points-wise. People aren't able to get around Pro-Ams. Oh. Baker dooring with Piggott. They're still dooring side by side. Doors again!
This is great stuff, but this is slowing them both down. Shane Piggott not working together here. Shane Piggott's not worried about Adam Shepard, right? He's racing Jamie Goodall. He doesn't have to work with Rob Baker if he doesn't want to, and I think that is very, very clear as they work on lap number 8 of an expected 16. The pace is picked up in this race.
And that's the beauty of having a multi-class racing happening right at the exact same time, especially in a format like this where you keep them constantly on top of each other. They're racing for an overall win, sure, but you've also got people in there racing for class wins. You've got people in there racing for bragging rights. It's a really quite an awesome format when you think about it.
And if I think back to last week, I believe it was Piggott and Baker that had that contact where, at the end of the race, at the end of race number 4, we were very questioning the contact towards the end of the race. So if memory serves me correctly, these two already don't like each other from last week at Snetterton. That explains why Piggott is not too keen to help the 51 right now. You do see that Tom McMahon has moved in front of Jamie Goodall. There is some contact, certainly. At least there has been some contact, some damage to the back end of the 66, but he has now found his teammate in Rob Baker. So these two could get working together towards the back end of this race, but there is great stuff further back. Sam Smith, Michael Seal battling through Luffield, Smith on the outside of Luffield, and Seal on the inside. Chris Knox watches these two go side by side, a couple of Pro-Ams.
And Knox being the pro right now, watching these Pro-Ams, was looking middle, is going to go to the outside, force 3 wide. We see Baker here kind of shove Piggott off the track a little bit, going through Cops, coming up into Maggots, a very tight part of the track, but we've been seeing Baker really throw it in there, trying to get it, doors him again, uses the left back bumper of that car to try to get in front of him. Piggott's giving him the bump now. Hey, I didn't really like what you were doing there.
Baker protecting in Brooklands. Here comes McMahon around the outside. McMahon might get racy with both of them. Into Luffield.
McMahon knows if he watches Shepard go up and win, Shepard will have more wins than him, but like we were talking earlier, it also comes down to points. You also need to get in front of your teammate Baker here. He's 1 win behind you at this point. So now does McMahon try to race as hard as possible, but Piggott not really allowing any of that, bringing the fight right back to McMahon, excuse me.
McMahon now into 3rd, but I don't think that's going to hold just yet. Piggott is racing tough with these guys. Piggott's really showing it that he belongs in this series. Now Piggott falls back, I think realizes what's at stake with the Pro-Ams that are closing from behind. Jamie Goodall is there. Wayne Douglas is there just about. Mark Johnston is in the battle as well. He's a pro, though.
Mark Johnston really the only thing separating the back half of the top 5 from being pro-ams and the top 4 being all pros. Johnson kind of in the middle of all of it. But, I mean, the pro-ams really showing the pros how to race. I mean, they're really not allowing much of any kind of pushover, any kind of bullying from the pros. They're holding their ground right now. And as we were mentioning before, Piggott was showing both Baker and McMahon that he wasn't really going to turn over.
Look at the gap ahead now. 3.5 minutes to go. 3.5 seconds to go to Adam Shepard. That's not going to happen at this point.
That's not going to happen, yeah. It'd be hard to start popping off a second on someone who's this consistent so far.
Yeah, I should say it's not going to happen without outside influence. It could happen, but it's not likely, certainly at this point. Those 3.5 seconds being made up, that's not just going to happen as we have 6 cars in a line here. Let's fall back in the field. Let's actually work our way from the rear forward as Ollie Ricks and Fiona Siddons. Remember what we talked about earlier on, how these two just find each other? They're right back at it here, battling for the 16th spot, 16th and 17th. They are both amateur drivers, and they are battling, actually, for the 3rd and 4th positions in amateur competition.
And funny enough, that's how you make a racing relationship. You're constantly around somebody, you're making moves, but it's only on that one person. You know their name, they know your name. That's really... I mean, not to say that the relationship's good or not, just depends on how you get raced, but, I mean, that's how you build up a relationship, and that's how you know how to race around someone in particular, when you're constantly around them. Like you were saying, they're racing for, I believe this would be for 3rd place of the amateur class. Schill, again, leading the amateur class, but not by much, not by what he was raced before, but is still leading the amateur class.
The gap behind there, a little over 2 seconds, so it's looking good with 2 minutes to go. He would like it to be larger, I'm sure. A few positions especially would be nice, but it's not too bad as he follows Carl Hardy and Michael Seal, and even Chris Knox here. This will be a good little battle into Brooklands. As Sealback's way out, all the way back up to Carl Hardy. Sam Smith and Chris Knox going to go at it, almost contact there. They'll work things out, I'm sure. This is just inside the top 10. Smith hangs on to 9th, Knox is 10th. And Chris Knox wants to move forward and get all the positions he can. It would be wise, I think, for Michael Seal to work with Chris Knox in this case, actually. Try and pass up Sam Smith. That is a driver in class, and I don't know. Michael Seal having fun on the flashers there. Maybe he doesn't quite agree with that assessment. Let's go back up front into the top 5. Shane Piggott battling here with Mark Johnston. Johnston's trying to get on through the rest of the Pro-Ams, and Piggott wants to hang on to his cushion back to his Pro-Ams.
And like you were saying, that cushion right now is really down to Johnston. He's got a little bit of time advantage over his Pro-Am drivers, but as soon as Johnston, who is looking to his inside right now through Brooklands, to the left, shuts the door on him getting through Luffield now. Now there's no buffer. Piggott's right into the back of the grasp of Douglas, Goodall, Holmes, Smith, all of his fellow Pro-Am drivers.
He's got to be careful here if he wants to hang on to this win. Wayne Douglas and Jamie Goodall could easily work together here. They're not teammates, but they could be for one lap. It is the white flag. No, it's not. This is 2 to go, actually. Adam Shepard has put a heck of a race together. We're showing 2 to go. It might change, but it's going to be close. This is about halfway in the lap. It's going to be very, very close for Adam Shepard.
But, I mean, he does have a 4-second advantage over Baker, McMahon, and Johnston now, who kind of joined into that fight. The top 4 all down to pros, the rest all Pro-Ams. But, I mean, through about 15 seconds left in the race, he's got 2-3 corners to get through, especially a little bit of a right here. I don't know. Oh, and a little bit of contact from Johnston to McMahon.
Oh, he gets
McMahon
there.
Now looking to the left side of his... This is it. This is coming to checkered flag right here.
White flag presented by Whiplash Simcams. It's short-lived. This is the final lap. This is it for these guys coming to checkers. And across the line, 3 wide they were. Baker takes second over Johnston and McMahon. Piggott hangs on to your Pro-Am win. Then it's Douglas, Goodall, Holmes, Seal, and Hardy, your top 10. Chris Knox fell back to 12th rather. Roger Morton comes across in 13th. Craig Schill then takes amateur victory again in the 11th position, and a few more drivers will come across.
Looking at Sir Alan Toon. Getting ready to cross the line. I believe he's coming across the line now. Yeah, he's going to be the last one to finish this race.
Sir Alan Toon out of Woodcote finishes up this race number 3, and that means we can go ahead and get another invert for you guys. I hate when they get so close there to giving us an extra lap or, well, being one lap shorter, or I guess being right where they were the rest of the day.
It was a tease.
Yeah, I hate that kind of suspense of you don't know exactly if the race is going to end right there or not. Yeah. We'll go ahead and spin the wheel one more time for our final invert of the day. We had, let's see, we had 17, we had 11, and it's going to be full for the end.
Wow.
Now, that will not include Ralph Cullinan, who only made, it looks like, 5 laps in that race. That will start all the way back, though, at Sir Alan Toon in 18th position. That's big.
That is big. And that puts everyone right in front of Shepard, who pretty much walked away with the lead and the win last race.
That puts every pro driver in the back 4 of the grid, aside from James Clark, who finished 14th and will now start 5th. So maybe a turnaround for his day. Let's go ahead and bring up the unofficial race results for race number 3.
Well, we were talking about it. Adam Shepard will pretty much walk away with that win. He'll be the first one up on the board. Rob Baker, Mark Johnston, Tom McMahon will be your top 4, will be your pros of the top 4. McMahon lost a position there to Johnston right at the end. Shane Piggott, Wayne Douglas, Jamie Goodall, 5th, 6th, and 7th, your Pro-Am driver. Shane Piggott will be your Pro-Am winner. Lee Holmes, Michael Seal, and Kyle Hardy to round out the rest of your top 10.
Finishing 11th in race number 3, it's the 982 of Craig Schill with an amateur win. You see Chris Knox there in 12th, Roger Morton 13th. That is 2nd in amateur competition for Roger Morton. It's 14th for James Clark, 15th for Sam Smith, and this is where you start to think about the invert, because it'll be 18 cars that get inverted. Ollie Ricks, Fiona Siddons, and Alan Toon will lead us to the green. Sir Alan Toon on pole, then Fiona Siddons in 2nd, Ollie Ricks in 3rd. Sam Smith will start from 4th, James Clark from 5th, Roger Morton from 6th, Chris Knox from 7th, and Craig Schill will start this race from the 8th position. Carl Hardy will start the next race from 9th, Michael Seal will start from 10th, and you can kind of put the rest together all the way back through Adam Shepard, who just won that race. So, yeah, this is going to be a bit different. This is going to be a little, I guess, unprecedented for this final race. It's going to throw everything on its head. That's what we like about it.
And that's a part of the format. Just switch it all up. Now it's going to be up to the pro drivers and the pro-ams that were leading or just now up front. How well can you get through some of the traffic, and how fast can you be through some of that traffic?
We will go ahead and take our final intermission of the day. A full invert, 18 cars on the way for race number 4. The smaller grid, I think, has been good. Quite good, in a way. Obviously, we wish we had more cars out here, but it's allowed us to be able to really, I think, bump elbows. Obviously, the drivers are bumping elbows too, but bump elbows to everybody out there, and this has been fantastic stuff. You cannot find, I don't think, any 4 races that are any better than what we have consistently in the British Sim Racers, be it Trophy Tuesdays or a BSRTC Thursdays. I don't think you can find races that are better than these, at least not in this format. This is just fantastic. The inverts are fun. If you want to join in on the conversation on social media, use hashtag BSRTC. We look forward to seeing you on socials, but for now, we're going to take a step aside and get ready for race 4. Let's get right back to it. The virtual Silverstone circuit national course has been a lot of fun today, but I think everything's about to come to a head, Zach. We're flipping the entire field, and as you and I just saw, but before getting this race started, points. They're fun. We like to talk about them here at Pit Stop TV, and this is how they came into today. They're not quite the same anymore. Tom McMahon is still leading, admittedly. We unfortunately don't have an updated graphic to show you guys on stream, but what we can tell you is Adam Shepard has made 124 points of the 127 that he was behind Tom McMahon. It is now a 3-point gap for the lead in the championship going into the final race of round number 7. We have 9 races to go total in this series, and only 3 points to separate these guys going in. Now, Rob Baker has moved into 3rd. He is 98 points back of Tom McMahon. Shane Piggott is now into the 4th position overall and is leading in Pro-Am by some 49 points over Michael Seal, who has moved ahead of Nathan Davies by 10. Carl Hardy's up a few spots. He's in a 9th. Jamie Goodall is into 10th. And actually, I guess Hardy has not moved up at all. He is still 9th. Interesting. But yeah, everything is completely different. Aaron Rose is falling down the order. He is down to 15th. Ollie Ricks, Fiona Siddons, they're making up points on drivers ahead. Scott Malcolm has dropped down to 20th. Everything is changing.
And everything's changing at a rapid pace, too. Like you said, coming in, Shepard was 127 points behind McMahon. He is now no longer that many points down.
Yeah, it's only a 3-point gap now for 1st and 2nd, and these are the races we have left. We have one more race here at Silverstone, and then Brands Hatch next week, and I don't know what to expect there or at Bathurst. I think Brands Hatch is going to be different. It's going to be interesting. Obviously, we've seen Brands Hatch Indy so far, back in round 2 for races 5 through 8. That was a lot of fun. That was hectic, but now a few drivers have moved on to different things, or maybe in the case of Brendan Sharp, for example, he's been in Dubai for the last little while. He hasn't been able to race in a little while. So, yeah, it's going to be a little bit different, and, you know, we've seen GT3 racing at Brands Hatch on the full course before on Pit Stop TV. I don't think any parallels can be drawn to what we're going to see next week.
The only really parallel that we can really actually draw is just the amount of competition that's going to be heading towards Brands Hatch. Because, I mean, to only have your top 2 points separated by 3 points. Now, this is when everything starts to pick up. Baker is even inside of 100 points on McMahon. So, this is where the intensity starts to pick up. Now that they know that they're within striking distance. And we were looking at some of the winners. It's been a while since McMahon has won. We were talking about it earlier. He has 4 wins on the season, but his last win came at the first of the Daytona races, and that was about, 3-4 weeks ago? So right now's the time to really start catching up on wins and points, is when your points later has kind of been going through a little bit of a cold streak.
Yeah, it's been interesting watching how wins have gone. It had been a long time before Shepard won another race. Last week at Snetterton, it had been since Brands Indy, in fact. So it had been, a dozen or so races in between wins for him, and now he's got 3 in the last 2 weeks. He's suddenly hot when he needs to be. Same for Rob Baker. Aaron Rose got a win last week even. Shane Piggott came on strong last week at Snetterton. Luke Kidsley very recently has been very good. So things have really changed in this series big time, and I think they're going to change some more in the next couple of weeks as we work to determine a champion. We will also get a couple of drop races as well, and I don't think that's full drop rounds. I think that's just drop races, considering it's a 9-round season, but 4 races in each round is 36 races in total, and that's a lot of racing. It really is. It's a lot of entries in the points blank. So a lot's going to change between now and the next 2 races in the finale at Bathurst. We did lose one more driver. I'm unsure exactly of who that was. It might have been, well, it's not Sir Alan Toon. He is gridded on the pole. But somebody has not made it to the final race. Anyways, we're ready to go for one more go of things here at the Silverstone National Circuit. Sir Alan Toon on pole. Starting second is going to be Fiona Siddons. Third, James Smith. And fourth, James Clark. Roger Morton will roll off from the 5th position in this race. You can hear some drivers bouncing off of the limiters, chirping the turbos a little bit, getting ready to go for this 4th race. I think we're just waiting on one more car, and that's Chris Knox. And yes, we are ready to go racing. Red lights are on. Race 4 on the way, waiting on the green lights and the signal from the starter stand. And green flag is out in race 4.
So a little bit of a shallow start.
Let's go on board with Sir Alan Toon. He's dropped all the way down to 8th already. Fiona Siddons going to lead us into maggots. Let's get a look at things up front. Fiona Siddons leading it. Sam Smith and Chris Knox side by side for second. Fiona's wide. The top 2 go on by. Woo was... What? Huh?
What just happened?
Craig Schill sliding all the way through maggots and Aintree, and somebody has gone well past the course, way further back. I think that was Shane Piggott and Lee Holmes back there. Let's go up front. Let's finish up this first lap because into Brooklands we go. And it's Chris Knox leading. Sam Smith second, almost contact there.
And Chris Knox, the pro, currently leading some Pro-Am drivers right now. But Chris Knox finally able to get a little bit of breath of the lead. Remember, Shepard, McMahon, Baker, everyone was to the back of this race. They had to go to the back. It was a full invert. This is a way for some people to make up points, like Chris Knox.
Let's go back and look at what just happened. Oh, there was a lot going on further back. This is going to require going all the way back to the grid and watching this through. Sir Alan Toon went nowhere off the start. And I think that's what you mentioned there, Zach. And a lot's going to happen into this bunch of corners. I'm trying to find Tom McMahon there. There's contact with Shane Piggott already. Look at that, 3-4 wide. And, oh, boy, Rob Baker and Tom McMahon made contact. Shane Piggott was hard into the wall. And then somewhere in here comes Lee Holmes, I think. And he goes well off course.
Oh!
Oh, it was Wayne Douglas way out. Oh, my goodness. That was Tom McMahon who came in and hit Wayne Douglas. And McMahon now, he's still running, but not very quickly. In fact, I think there's been another issue between he and Lee Holmes, potentially. Let's get a look at things here. So he's making contact with Shane Piggott. Where does this all go? Well, yeah, there. That's where it went awry. Back on board with him. This is in the maggots, lap 1. He's in the grass. He's along for the ride.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, as soon as he got into the grass, there was no stopping any kind of momentum. And oh, my gosh.
Let's watch this from Douglas's point of view. He sees all the scatter in his mirror. Shane Piggott was into the wall. And then this is what happens behind. I mean, this is just out of nowhere. Oh, my gosh.
Gosh, dang.
That is a big hit. Completely took the right rear off that car immediately. And had to tow back. There was an issue afterwards for Tom McMahon. He was slow a little bit later on. And we'll see if we can get a look at it here. Once we get this sorted, we will finally get back live. But we do want to cover as much of this as we can.
This is huge, the points and championship implications as well.
He's just going to pull off and stop here. I think he knows how damaged the car is. You see him there, brake, and take the tow.
Yep.
Well, Chris Knox is your race leader. We'll finally get a chance to bring the ticker up here in a second as these guys work into maggots on lap number 4. That's how far we're already into this race with all that calamity. Look at this. Mark Johnston, Michael Steele going at it. Adam Shepard is into 4th.
He made up his ground so quickly, like you were talking. We didn't really cover much of it because we were looking at the replay, but during that time, this man went from at the back of the pack. He's now making his way into 3rd. Not clear just yet. He still got Steele to his inside. Maybe a little bit of touching, a little bit of contact, but he's going to have the inside. He's going to have
that was contact
the right. There was contact there, but Shepard now clean. Well, I say cleanly. Now into 3rd.
This is insane. This has definitely been insane in this race. Seal and Shepard nose to tail. Knox and Johnston nose to tail. And there's contact. Johnston gets knocked sideways. This is only going to open the door for Adam Shepard. Guys, you want to try and beat him, not just let him on through. Here comes Shepard looking for second. takes the first apex at Maggots, but now it's on the outside for Aintree. Contact! He just drove through him!
Again. No one's really laying over for Shepard here, blocking going into Maggots like that, and all through it, there is a contact on Shepard. So far, he's holding on to third, but he's got a bunch of hungry Pro-Ams right behind him.
I don't want to get too hard on the guy, but I mean, he just drove into Michael Seal there like he wasn't there. In Aintree, they made it through. They're fine. I don't know how they made it through. I don't know how they kept racing, but they did. So I'll give them props there as they work out of Luffield, and now to Woodcote will go. These guys are giving me gray hairs.
Very stressful racing, especially now that we know some of the point situation and how everything has turned out, especially now with Shepard being P3 after starting at the back.
Rob Baker's 13th.
A lot of stressful racing.
Problems for Fiona Siddons. That's a spot for Rob Baker and Sir Alan Toon, who are nose-to-tail currently, and Fiona, I think, is done now.
And that was just before turn 1. I wonder what happened. There must have been contact on the straight, but that was just before cops.
Here's a look at it for Fiona Siddons, just ahead of Ralph Cullinan and behind Craig Schill. Oh, she has a problem.
Yeah, there's a problem.
She went offline and completely dropped anchor there. There was some kind of problem for her, and she pulls off and heads to the back. Well, heads to the pits as we race on. Oh boy, this is going to get fun up front. 2, 3 wide. This is out of Woodcote again. Here we go to the line. 9 minutes to go. In fact, less than 9 minutes. Chris Knox around the outside. Johnston leads that lap. Shepard is looking for a route to go on through. Looks to the inside of Knox there. Michael's still going to have an opportunity in Maggots, I think.
And with these guys being this close to each other, it brings in the realism of having a 3-wide battle for the lead. Obviously there is, but they haven't gone 3 wide on track just yet. But with how close these guys are, it become a very big possibility. Knox just right in front of Shepard. Shepard right on the back end. Now a little bit of breathing room for the both of them. Now Shepard, Seal looked to the left side. Shepard now looks to the left side of Knox. Still not there. Seal gonna be to his right side coming through these last few corners.
Contact between the two of them. Seal gets on through, takes third. Now Carl Hardy's going to have a look at things. He's in the 575. He is second in Pro-Am. He wants to follow Michael Seal on through. He could be racing for a win here. Contact there. Shepard's leading on the 557 and Hardy's in deep. Shepard's got problems. He's well off. Here he goes back on the right side now. Sam Smith goes on through for third.
Shepard really had to back off just because of that early break, the contact to his inside. He really had to back off. Now here he goes, throwing it back to the inside of Seal again. Him and Seal have been right on top of each other this entire race. You thought Shepard would be able to get through these guys easily. Nope. Here he is, mired into the back of them again.
And I don't know if you noticed it, but that Audi is working as hard as it can right now. It's soft in the front. It was actually tripoding that time. And Aintree, there's contact, and Shepard goes well wide. Here's Hardy slides through the corner just behind James Clark. But I noticed the right rear, so the inside rear wheel for Seal picked up and actually stopped in the air, and now he was wide in Luffield. That opens his door for Shepard to come on through. That Audi is certainly stressed right now trying to keep up with the Hyundais.
And Seal was trying to just run his line. Shepard tried to use every bit of track that he could, but Seal was there. Now here we are again, side by side, coming through cops. He still isn't exactly clear just yet. Now he is. Shepard back up to fourth.
Does Michael Seal be equally aggressive? No. Shepard was very aggressive last time through Aintree here. I thought maybe Michael would return the favor. Not quite. Sam Smith was wide in Aintree. We've got a 2-car race up front, and then the entire field will consider it further on back. On board with Michael Seal will go to Brooklands. Just 6 minutes to go.
The leaders, everything's kind of leveled out as far as the top 6 go. Seal a little bit of wide through Brooklands, but no one there to really capitalize. Again, wide through Luffield. He might be either having a problem or trying to get the power down, using it possibly as a double apex, trying to get some power for the straight. But right now, Seal with Clark on his back end, as we got a big battle right here coming through Woodcote.
This is further back. Rob Baker, Roger Morton, Ralph Cullinan, and Craig Schill. So your amateur win is in this group.
Baker here throws it to the inside amongst all these amateurs right here. They're still holding tough as well. They're not really giving Baker an easy time to get by. Although Baker does get by, this is one of his most aggressive parts of the track. Stays really shallow right here through Maggots. Well, able to take that position. Schill here tried to block off Morton, and he will do so successfully. Schill still now the amateur leader as we go back up front.
So that sorts out behind, and look at this. Mark Johnston, Chris Knox, they're just tenths apart. Some position changes that time into Brooklands as Shepard is back on by Sam Smith, and I think that fight that we had with Seal and Shepard, yeah, that's well and broken up by some time here. This is going to be interesting when Shepard gets up. If Shepard gets up to Johnston and Knox, he won't have as much traffic behind him. And you can see he's just gone purple at a 59.749. That's one of the few best times, in fact, one of two best laps to go into the 59s, just he and Chris Knox so far.
But he's also, like to your point, he's not going to have much of drivers behind him, but he is going to be dealing with class pros, his class with him. He was with them earlier. He couldn't really make a move. He could get to the inside and the outside of Chris Knox and Johnston, but he really wasn't able to make a move. Now it's just a matter of can he catch him within these next 4 minutes, and can he make a move after he catches him.
Carl Hardy and Jamie Goodall doing some battle further back. This is for the 7th and 8th position. Both Pro-Ams, in fact, they're fighting for 3rd in class behind James Clark.
Really, one not given any other a break here. It looks like Hardy's going to be able to just, almost clear in front of Goodall. Still not able to. He's going to have the recommended line going into Cobbs. He will clear him that time. Now the chase is on for Hardy to try to chase Clark as quickly as possible here.
And Clark went well wide in Cobbs there. Open the door maybe this lap for Brooklands? I think they're close enough. They should have an open door with the draft here. Yeah, I would say so. Carl Hardy's going to make a lot of time up on James Clark before they get to this corner.
He's
maybe not.
He's gonna bring Goodall with him too, if any draft is happening. Hardy hard on the brakes. Clark really wide through Brooklands. He's side by side with him now. It looked like he was gonna give it to him midway through the corner. It'll clear. Hardy will clear Clark. Actually, as I say that, Clark's gonna bring the battle back. Now there's a bit of a separation between the 3rd place battle right now for Pro-Am.
This is for 6th, 7th, and 8th on the racetrack as Clark is struggling with that 6th car. He has been all day. Rob Baker has gotten ahead of Craig Schill. Craig Schill hanging on to the amateur lead, though. Ralph Cullen in between he and Roger Morton. Sir Alan Toon is much further back after his, unfortunately, slow start. Started this race on pole and just, I don't know if it was wheel spin or slow on the gears or what happened to him, but he was very slow off the start of this race and lost a lot of positions by turn 1, but he's kept that car clean. That's what's important. So he's ahead of Fiona Siddons, Tom McMahon, Lee Holmes, Wayne Douglas, and Shane Piggott, who have all had issues in this race. Let's go back up front to our race leaders in Luffield now. Only 2 minutes to go, Zach. That means 2 laps this time by.
Only 2 minutes. Shepard has been able to kind of close the gap on these two. He's been able to put it within 2 seconds, but he hasn't really been gaining major ground. Johnston's been able to keep about a 4/10 lead over Knox. Either Knox hasn't really been pushing it to the extent, or Johnston's just running a really clean line. Knox goes really wide that time, trying to keep all momentum that he can. Still not gaining much on Johnston right now. Johnston's race to lose, it looks like. It looks like we also have a battle back here. I believe this is Smith and Seal.
Your Pro-Am win right here. One of these two is going to get it. That is unless they make contact and crash, potentially. I mean, it's always a possibility with these guys. Michael Seal going to try and make something happen here with Sam Smith. They're 4th and 5th on the racetrack. I think they're best just waiting until the white flag presented by Whiplash Simcams, which will come in just a few moments. Don't sacrifice too much time, especially with 2 to go. Don't let Hardy and Goodall make up any time. Just keep this battle betwixt you two, and you're going to be nicely sorted here for the final lap. Up front, Mark Johnston going to lead us onto the white flag, presented by Whiplash Simcams. 1 lap to go at Silverstone National.
Well, as I was talking, Knox was actually able to pull up to the back bumper of Johnston. Now, I don't know if any kind of bumper move is going to be made. Shepard now almost within a second of these two. Should these two start racing in any kind of corner, it could bring Shepard right back into it. But this being the final lap, I think Shepard's maybe just a little bit too far back here. Coming through Aimtree, coming onto the backstretch, looking at Brooklyn's just the hardest braking part of the track. Will Knox try to outbrake Johnston here, excuse me?
No looks really for Knox. He's going to have to do something in left field. He's going to have to get there, and he's going to have to hit him at this point. Will he be able to get to the back end of the 56? He's going to try, but no dice. And further back, it's Sam Smith and Michael Seal in a very similar kind of battle. Nose to tail for each of the top twos. As up front, Mark Johnston will not be upset. He will get a race win at Silverstone. He takes race 4.
Oh, and side by side right there for the Pro-Am.
Smith does get Pro-Am. Props to the 525. And further back, Craig Schill will hang on to another race win. He comes across the line and takes 10th overall. Good stuff.
It is good stuff. That was really good racing. A lot of drama right there for the last race.
And that is another win. The first win for Mark Johnston since race 3 at Daytona 3 rounds ago. That moves him up to 2 wins, ties him now with Elliot Harper and Aaron Rose, 2 drivers who were not here today. And that is it for racing at Silverstone. I can't believe that this week of racing is already over. Just insane stuff. Between Trophy Tuesday and today with the BSRTC crew, this has been really, really good stuff.
It was a bunch of good racing, a bunch of close racing too. If I'm being honest, I wasn't really expecting that, but a lot of close racing, people right on top of each other, and some of the wins today have been very dramatic.
Yeah, that's one way to put it. As Chris Knox, I think, had some fun there on the final lap, decided to go ahead and break that car in a few ways.
Used up the rest of the car.
Yeah, I think he celebrated a little bit there at the end. It actually goes back a little ways, and I kind of want to see this because this is the celebration, I think, for somebody who comes back after several races away and is finally able to put the car up on podium a few times. And he's going to have contact with Johnston down to 1. Oh, he pulls the handbrake, so he doesn't have any contact. Pulls the handbrake and has some fun.
I mean, why not? I mean, it's the end of the races finally, and you're able to just yank the e-brake if you want to, so might as well.
So Chris Knox able to celebrate here after a job well done in race number 4, almost getting a chance to win. Oh, and he gets hit by Carl Hardy, it looks like. And it's hard to say if that's out of frustration or if that's just being friends. The third hit, I think that might be a bit of frustration.
Yeah, that one was a bit of frustration right there at the end.
And even Ralph Cullinan came in. I don't know.
A bunch of angry drivers right here at the end. Ooh.
Well, I know a couple of those guys are teammates, so that could just be having fun at that point. It's hard to say. James Clark getting a piece there, Carl Hardy. But we'll go ahead and let's just go back to, a little before that and have some nice looks around the racetrack. Let's take a look at your unofficial race results for race number 4 in round number 7.
Well, Mark Johnston will be able to hold off Chris Knox right there at the end. Will pick up his win at Silverstone. Chris Knox right at the end will be finishing second. Adam Shepard pulled it within a second, but still was not able to get up and battle with these guys for the lead. Sam Smith will be your Pro-Am winner of this race. He will be finishing 4th position. Michael Seal, top 5, will round out the top 5. Carl Hardy, Jamie Goodall, James Clark, Rob Baker, and Craig Schill will round out your top 10. Craig Schill being your highest finishing amateur.
Finishing 11th in race 4, you'll find Ralph Cullinan in a 5 car. I think that number will be changed. I don't think he's a pro. I think he's either Pro-Am or Am. We don't know just yet. So he could have gotten a win today at some point. We don't really know yet. But we'll find out next week. At least that's what I've been told. Roger Morton comes across second in class. Sir Alan Toon takes the podium in class. Then it's Fiona Siddons, Tom McMahon, Lee Holmes, Shane Piggott, and Wayne Douglas will all have that lap 1 trouble. And, well, Zach, that's it. I mean, that is the bit of racing done here today. Before we get a couple of interviews, what are your thoughts after witnessing firsthand how these BSR guys race?
It was intense, really, from drop of the first green flag to the final checkered flag. is very, very intense. A lot of close racing. Really wasn't expecting a lot of close racing, but man, like I said, it just very, very dramatic. These guys put it out on the line every single lap too. With how close they were, a lot of blocking from the get-go, a lot of intense racing. That was really fun to watch. It took a lot of breath out of me, and it was hard to keep up because there was so much action happening around the track.
It's been fantastic all season long. I hope this series is here for a long, long time on the channel. This is the kind of exciting racing every channel wants, right? Every broadcasting service wants to have this kind of exciting racing through and through. There's never a dull moment with the British sim racers. I think the dullest race actually was one of the races at Knock Hill, and I don't know why it stands out to me, but that's the only time I think we felt like, the race sorted out and it's quiet for a minute. Like, it wasn't even dull, but it was just a quieter race. There was still great battling, nose-to-tail stuff, but that's the one race that I think that I've ever felt like, man, I could do with some side-by-side racing right now. There's always been side-by-side racing otherwise, so it's been properly good stuff here with the British Sim Racers all season long. Let's go ahead and bring in a couple of drivers. They're both pros, and we're going to start off with race winner Mark Johnston, and Zach, he's headed your way.
Alrighty. Mark, you got a copy on me, bud?
Hello.
Well, buddy, that was a bunch of insane racing happening today, but we're going to talk more about the one that just happened, your win today. Chris Knox was on you pretty much from the drop of the green flag all the way to the checkered flag, but you were able to hold off. It was a very impressive line. Now, the track today was... On paper, and I guess on a map, it looked relatively easy. Was the track today easy, or was it a very challenging kind of track today?
Well, I live half an hour from the track, and I love the track, Silverstone as a general, but the National's great fun, so it is for racing. And dare I say, some people call it a triangle as such, but, you know, the less tolerances there is, the more you have to take in places, and it was really good fun out there. And I know a few soldiers down, my two teammates, Trigger and Luke, missing them today, but maybe this is good that, you know, Trigger lives in my head quite a bit. You probably know from Apex days, he's got a little addiction, he's got his issues at the moment. He's currently in the Sophisticated Cats nightclub for the week with the dancing girls, so he is. So hopefully he can get that all out of his system, and he'll be back with us next week.
Oh, absolutely. Well, we're going to talk a little bit more about the battle right there at the end. We mentioned before, Chris Knox was right there on your bumper. Obviously, being a pro, you got to pay attention more to the windshield and the mirror. But did he fill up your mirror? Was it something getting inside your head, or was it something that you try to block out right there for the end?
Chris is a top lad, so he is, and I think he knew the score that we had Mr. Shepherd in third, and we got a wee break from him, so I think he decided not to battle. He decided to, you know, let us push on and keep that gap from third, and then he did give it a little go at the end, but nice clean race and top lad, and this championship generally has been really lovely to race in.
Yeah, we were looking at some of the points right now. We were also talking, the last one that you had came at I believe it was the third race at Daytona. You finally able to pop one off at Silverstone, so it was good to get to see you out there. And I like the Puma colors. It was really sleek out there watching you run around.
Yeah, we like the Pussycats, especially Trigger, dare I say. And speaking of popping one off, you know, he's popped a few off today, I reckon. But yeah, it's nice to get a few wins, so it is. And Brands Hatch, here we come, I can't wait. And then Bathurst to finish, awesome. So great championship, a few more cars, it'll be a mega.
Well, yeah, we were looking at some of the schedule. Brands Hatch and then Bathurst, like you said, to finish it is a good a few good tracks to end it off of. But don't want to take up too much of your time. We know you want to go celebrate. So if you got anyone else to thank, you got anyone else to shout out?
Yeah, big love to the wee one. My missus, she lets me do this all the time. She's a saint. And especially to the Puma team and Trigger. Please, come back, get off the crack pipe, come back to us, let's get racing, and leave the girls alone. Bros before hoes.
Well, Mark, we appreciate you coming on up here, and appreciate your time.
Thank you, I appreciate the job you do, boys, and the stewards as well tomorrow night always makes good watching. You know, thanks a million for all your efforts.
Really appreciate that, sir. Thank you.
God bless.
It's one of the more unique interviews, certainly. We apologize for the not so friendly, right? Not so family-friendly parts of that, but that was certainly one of the more unique interviews that we've ever had here at Pitstop TV.
It'll go down in history. It'll go down in history.
Yeah, we'll let that one simmer, and let's go ahead and bring in Chris Knox. And Chris, we missed you for a few weeks, but there's a lot to build off of, and I mean that in more ways than just the Lego car today. A lot of great racing, and ultimately second place in race number 4. How'd it go for you?
Yeah, I missed being away. Was abroad working for a few weeks, but managed to catch some of the stream while I was away. Qualified okay. There was nothing in it in qualifying, so as long as I was in the top sort of 5, 6, I was happy. Race 1, just sort of sat in line and picked up the pieces, and then got knocked about a bit in race 2 and 3. Then got a decent start in 4, and just didn't have the pace to get near mark. But yeah, a reasonably successful night, I guess.
And Zach, I think, had a pretty good question with Mark Johnson just now. And we talk about this place, this layout particularly of Silverstone being what I call what Emerson Arden calls a Popeye's biscuit away from an oval, or in this case a triangle. It doesn't look complicated on paper. It doesn't look like it's anything much, but it is also 1.5 miles of tarmac, and that means that it has its intricacies. How did you look at things today, and what was the course like for you?
Yeah, it's very difficult to manage the front tires in this car around here, and the margins for off-track are so narrow. So the X's can rack up really quickly. I think I finished that one on about 9 or 10, so I was basically a 4X away of getting the drive-through. But yeah, I pushed a bit hard on the first 2 laps and then had a bit of a slide, and then it takes like 3-4 laps for that to recover. And that allowed the guys to catch up with me, and then it was just, once you really cook the fronts, you can't really get them back. But I was happy enough to just sit behind Mark. I had a little bit of a go in the last lap, but I knew when I didn't get a great exit onto the back straight that I was clutching at straws, really.
You're still in a good position in the points, 12th overall or so. That might change. And that actually is 6th in class. How do you prepare for a track like Brands Hatch, the full course next week, not just the Indy course?
Probably by doing some practice.
Well, okay.
Unlike this week, I just jumped on tonight. But yeah, I quite enjoy Brands in real life, so it's one of my favourite tracks. So I certainly know the place pretty well, but can't say I've ever driven it in a TCR car on iRacing.
And you mentioned it in real life. What experience do you have there in real life?
I've not raced for a while, but I did a couple of UK single make series and Mini Challenge and Volkswagen Cup. But that was sort of 2011, 2014.
Well, hey, that's more than I've done. You're a cooler guy than me already, so I mean, you got that going for you. Today was, I think, a pretty good day of racing. It really seemed like that. Obviously, you put yourself in a pretty good position by the end of it. Who makes it happen for you in the 23 car?
No one. I just rock up and do it.
There you go. A solo guy.
I wish I'd love to be sponsored by Lego. I just like the livery.
Maybe we can sort something out for next season then, if we're still around here. If Michael Seal and Ben Sharp and the powers that be invite us back for another go-around.
Sounds good.
Well, that's Chris Knox, buddy. Congratulations. Like I said, really good day of racing. 3 laps led here in the 4th race, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Yeah, see you guys next week. Cheers.
That is Chris Knox, the number 23 car. Like I said, those 3 laps led, that actually, I think, it feels surprising, but not in a bad way. It didn't really feel like he got those laps led, because it always felt like he was chasing Mark Johnston and trying to pass that 56 car. We're going to move things on down the line, though, Zach, to our amateur race winner, somebody we've talked to a lot this season, Craig Schill.
Craig Schill won pretty much the only amateur winner of the night tonight. I'm sure there has been its own challenges, but we well documented you earlier in the race. You were able to hang with the pro-ams, and even the pros gave them a run for the money. One question that we've been asking everyone tonight, though, is the track's layout looks on paper relatively easy. Did you find it difficult? How did you find the track tonight?
It may look easy on paper when you look at the little line, the outline of it, but it has got bags loads of understeer, especially through Cops Turn 1. If you don't get it slowed down enough, that car will just not turn. And it's the same for a majority of the corners. It's just oversteer central. So yeah, it does make it really hard. I was struggling in race 4 with literally no grip, which is why I found myself in a different postcode in turn 2.
Yeah, it's one thing that we were kind of talking about at the top of the broadcast was how these cars carry the momentum and how they get around the track. But I mean, it seemed like that every time that we were talking about the amateur race, you were in front of it. Now these guys, we were also talking about how everyone's pretty much on top of each other. All the skill levels are very close to one another in class. And I've only been here for this race more than anything. Is it difficult to like hold the class lead? We were talking about through the pros and through the pro-ams, but I imagine it's the same thing for the amateur. It's difficult to hold the amateur lead. It's difficult to even run up with some of these guys sometimes. So I just guess what I'm asking is the difficulty of the league and the classes in general.
Yeah, with a guy like Roger continuously nipping at my rear end all 4 races, I can't take any break. I've got to be on it all the time, because the second you give that bloke an inch, he's gone. You just can't keep him behind you. Race 2, I was a little shocked that I was managing to hold on to the leaders, and at one point I was actually catching James Neve, just only by a couple of tenths a lap, but it was enough that I was like, hang on a minute, I could have a win here. And then I got swamped by all the others, and I just decided to hold on to the back of them and hope they tripped over each other, which some of them did. But yeah, each class there's no margin. There's no one outright driver that is just walking away. I've had my good races. Even Ollie Ricks has had some blinding races. Roger Morton, in other words, me and him are very close on pace. But yet, even like going up a level from AMs into the Pro-Ams, there's a few that we can hold on that we're pretty close to. So yeah, it's very evenly matched through the entire field.
I think some of that was shown through tonight. Like we were talking, it's just everyone's pretty much right on top of them, and we were talking about you in the second race more than anything. Admittedly, just you being up there, able to run with the pros and the pro-ams. You were the only amateur able to finish in the top 10. I think all night. I believe right there at the end, you finished in the top 10 yet again. So, I mean, you put yourself through really good situations tonight. You ran very, very well tonight. Or tonight over here in America. I'm not sure when it is over there in the UK. So so tonight, perfect. But is there anyone you want to thank? Anyone you got a shout out that helps you get around the track?
I'm actually, this is strange. I'm actually going to thank Roger, because he's keeping me honest and he's pushing me to make sure I get on whenever I can to do as much practice as I can, because we're going to take it down to the wire between the two of us. I got to thank my family, because they always watch. You guys for putting on an absolute blinding broadcast. I love it. It's one of the best broadcasts I watch. BSR as well for putting the league on.
Well, we appreciate that, sir. We do appreciate the compliment and appreciate the shout out to everyone that you gave there. Well, we're gonna let you have yourself a good little evening tonight, and we hope to see you next week.
I'll be back.
And that's Craig Schill finishing that final race in the 10th position. One more driver, and then we'll go ahead and wrap up for the day. Fiona Siddons is, Zachary.
Sorry, I apologize.
was
I thought
a-
I muted. I
that was
thought I
a-
muted.
that
My
was a-
bad.
That was a big one over there, but Fiona Siddon's not the greatest of days. We'll go ahead and bring the driver of the 927 in. And Fiona, not the greatest of days, particularly in race 4. How did things go from your standpoint in the car?
Highlight of the night has to be race 3. Me and Ollie Ricks did one complete lap side by side and half of the next one.
And we did see a lot of that battling, actually, with you and Ollie. What happened, though, in race 4? We're coming down to, I think, the mid portion of the race. You kind of pulled off and kind of just chucked it in the dirt. What happened?
On the entry to Love Field, I got a tap from Craig and it meatballed the car.
Oh. So, okay, that's actually a great topic of conversation. Obviously, these cars are new. There's still a few things that might need tweaking. How stable, or not stable, how strong do the cars feel in that wheel-to-wheel contact? Does it feel like the slightest of contact will bend a rim, or what's going on there?
It depends where you get it, I think. I think Craig's front wheel hit my rear wheel, and that's what did it. Side-to-side contact, front-to-rear contact, they're fine. As soon as you touch the wheels, then the meatball flag pops up straight away.
So all in all, it seems to have been a fun day of racing. How do you look forward to building on that once more for next week? Obviously, since you run both series, how do you build on that for Brands Hatch next week?
I'm looking forward to Brands Hatch. Brands Indy went well for me, so hopefully it'll carry over to the Grand Prix layout.
Well, there you go. I think a very hopeful, a very optimistic Fiona Siddons for next week at Brands Hatch. We'll be watching for that 927 car. Who makes it happen for you?
Matthews Logistics. They've put all the car together with the paint and everything. And I'd like to thank you guys for the great stream. Hopefully you carry on next season with us. And welcome to Zach to the BSR.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
It's been a lot of fun this season. I really do stand by what I say when I say this is the racing we want on the channel. This is the kind of racing that everybody wants to have around. Fiona, thanks for your time, and congratulations on those really good battles with Ollie Ricks. That was genuinely a lot of fun when we were able to check back on it and get a look at it and keep that stuff up. You and Ollie seem to always find each other in these races.
Yeah, we do.
So that's Fiona Siddons once again. Fiona, thanks for your time, and we'll see you at Brands Hatch.
Yep, see you at Brands.
And I really enjoy, obviously, you know, when we have these kind of NASCAR leagues, these Oval Series leagues, Zach, we tend to quickly learn the drivers. And I don't know what's been different necessarily with the British sim racers, but it is a bit of a different dynamic. But I've enjoyed learning a lot of these drivers' personalities, talking more with them, and getting to know each and every one of these drivers a lot better as these weeks have gone on. I think JP would certainly echo that sentiment if he were here today. And I do want to wish JP the best of whatever he had going on. I think a stressful situation today. Just the timing didn't work out. So it's nothing too bad, nothing too negative, but hopefully he got things sorted out in the way he needed to. Zach, I want to thank you seriously for being here today. It was fun. It was very fun. I enjoyed having you back on the call.
Yeah, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to come back on the call, and it was a lot of fun tonight. I had myself a good time.
We do have some fun upcoming broadcasts here at Pit Stop TV as per usual. Here's a look at them. We kick right back off next week on Tuesday evening with BSR Trophy Tuesday action in the MX-5s at Brands Hatch. Then we're right back to these doubles. We had the doubles throughout January with Nork, but we have an extra hour and a half, 2 hours before we get going with the North American Racing League and their Porsche Cup season. That's right, Porsche Cup, and it's on Tuesdays, not Thursdays. Thursday GT3 Racing is coming in March, but we'll get to talk about that a little bit later on. We'll also look at the schedule here for Porsche Cup in a second, so we'll kind of save some more comment on that for just a moment later. We do also have the Outlaws Sim Series coming back. They're back for race number 1 later this week at the Daytona International Speedway. They just ran their duels last night. Emerson Arden and Devin Kent Zimmerman shared the call for that one. We certainly recommend you going over and tuning in for that, watching that one back after this evening's coverage concludes here at Silverstone. I think it'd be worth it, very worth it, to go ahead and see how those duels went, those qualifying races, a couple of heat races basically, that will shape up the field for Wednesday's season opener. And they're also in the next-gen car, so when we play that preview of what the next next-gen car is like at Daytona, for example. That number 71 car that goes out there, that's a next-gen car, a NASCAR next-gen car. New 18-inch rims, new sequential gearbox, new transaxle rear end as opposed to the solid axle rear end. There's a lot that's new with that new next-gen car, and a lot of reason to tune in, I think. Zach, there's a lot of places to follow along here with Pit Stop TV, a lot of them, and they're listed there on the bottom of the screen.
Well, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch. I mean, we have all the socials. You come on and we'll keep you informed on what's coming up and how each broadcast is going.
And if you do follow us on social media, you will have already seen the schedule upcoming for the North American Racing League Porsche Cup season. I believe it's one of these graphics. It's not that one. Is it this one? It's this one. We have those kind of just tucked away for when we need them. You can see here, Hockenheim rain to kick the season off, then Daytona slotting in there for race number 2. That'll be just days after the Daytona 500, actually. Then it's Long Beach Street Course for race number 3. The Hungaroring makes a return on the schedule after a 1-week break for the Season 2 build here on iRacing. Spa makes its place in the schedule. The Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun with Porsche Cup cars, Porsche GT3 Cup cars. Road Atlanta makes its place, and I enjoy Road Atlanta where it is on the schedule, kind of a season setting at that point, season almost defining race at race number 7 of 8, and the Red Bull Ring for the finale. Are you kidding me? I don't know if you've had experience with the Red Bull Ring yet, Zach, but that is a properly fast and difficult race course to get around.
It's a very momentum-esque track. Like, you can't really, there's not really any slowdown parts. Maybe turn 1, maybe, and turn 2 definitely right there at the top of the top of the course, the hard 90-degree right. But besides that, it is a momentum track through and through, and oh, buddy, it is a very fun track.
And these are all really good racetracks, I think, for this upcoming schedule. It'll happen, each of these races will happen just a few hours, I say just a few hours, yeah, I guess just a few hours, about 3 hours from now, actually, because our start time is 8:30, it is 5:30 here in the US, so it might be a little bit late for you guys that it's already 10:30 in the UK, so I get it, but if you can tune in, or at least even watch them back on Wednesdays, I would certainly recommend doing so. And I say a week from now, a few days from now. It's Thursday, not Tuesday. It's been a week.
A lot has been happening.
Yeah, it's been a week, certainly. But yeah, Tuesday is coming up. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited for this season. And I'm excited for what BSR has for next season. I know there's been some conversations about it already. I don't know what details are confirmed and aren't, so we'll leave that for later on, but certainly I think there's a lot to be looking forward to with the BSR, and be it BSR MX-5s on Tuesdays or TC here on Thursdays, and what those series may be next time around. It's been a lot of fun here at Pit Stop TV, as per usual. We thank you all for tuning in. We thank you for your continued support here of Pit Stop TV and everything that we do, covering these leagues, bringing you this action week in, week out, day in, day out, it feels like. For all of Pit Stop TV, Zach Lindgren joining me on the call tonight. It usually would be JP Costa. He should be back for the rest of the season. Everybody else that makes things happen behind the scenes, Emerson Arden, Ed Shearer, Jay Cook, to name a few, Caleb Gladney, Eric Brennan, and so many others. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Andrew Cardinal IV, and we will see you on the flip side. Good night.